Good afternoon and welcome, everybody. This would be the Jeff Cameron Show right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Thanks so much for tuning to it. A fine Ballsmick Wednesday to you and yours. I'm Jeff, that's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live, either streaming free always. Don't miss anything. But, hey, if you do, all 3 hours get posted to iTunes and in our own audio vault every day upon the conclusion of the program. You can email the show, jcs at 979espnradio.com. Find me on Twitter at jcameronshow, WTSM app for your mobile devices or devices. Hello. Weird about the hiccup while saying the word devices. I had to go to a different octave. I was like, oh, we're hiccuping over here. We better just switch it up to devices. It's just a manipulation of range. Yes. Also, I might note we're on YouTube, ESPN Tallahassee on YouTube. All right. Wednesdays are usually about the time when a lot of us who are in the midst of panicking after a loss begin to settle the hell down and kind of pull yourself up by the bootstraps there, right? And say, okay, well, it happened. We can't undo it. What are we going to do about it? That's kind of where you're usually at by a Wednesday, right?
That inner Samuel L. Jackson is saying, tell that, be cool.
Yeah, yeah. You just go, all right. Well, we can't undo the NC State game, and the Bucs can't go back and replay the Minnesota game, but there will be games played later this week. So we got to get together, and we're a part of that, and let's go try to win that and then move forward from there. So it was funny yesterday while we were doing the show, I noticed that the transition occurred. You know, the head nodding, the knowing nod that is a Monday after a loss, and even continued over into a Tuesday where everybody's, They did do that, didn't they? He has done that before. Why do we keep doing that? All those nods.
Those are different knowing nods, and I know the people on YouTube can see the difference between a winning knowing nod and a losing knowing nod.
Yeah, different. It's a very stern knowing nod, just sort of. There's a lot of 2 fingers to my eyes, 2 fingers back to you when you're doing the nod of suspicion of, you know what? What are we doing over here? What exactly are we doing over here? You know, that's the
nod of suspicion is a very subtle nod. It's barely a nod. It's more like you're just getting fixated into a little spot.
I give the nod. Oh, that's what you're going with, huh?
It's also a look around.
The nod of suspicion, or the suspect nod, if you will, another way of phrasing it,
there it
is one that I cast towards my kids sometimes when they don't do what I've asked them to do, and then they give me some incomplete reason as to why, some nonsensical babble they're trying to throw their dad's way as to why it was they left their shirt on the floor. You know, there's like they think it's a legit reason, but it's nonsense, and you don't even want to start the argument, but you just give them that's what we're going with here? Just a little bit of that's what you're going to throw at me here, huh? Because it's nonsense. And that lets them know without you even having to say it that you know that it's nonsense. Go pick up your shirt. I mean, I don't have to say it. I'm giving you the nod.
You know what can help when you're in a nod crisis? It's a guy like Tony Sperano being called out of the bullpen. And he's just going to applaud everything he says.
Yeah, no, that's true. I miss him. What's he doing now? He's got to be an assistant somewhere.
You know, Charles, I watched the game. I want to leave you a voicemail here. I just wanted to let you know that I see you've had struggles on third down, but you're going to make it out of this thing.
It's okay.
You're going to be okay.
Couldn't get off the field on third down, but you know what? We keep playing. Pick ourselves up. Make some plays this weekend, guys. Everybody, double time. Yeah, no, it's you got to wonder. We'll see. There's a lot of this going on, too. It's a nod kind of a day, at least an acknowledgement of the various kinds of nods that exist. Because I'll tell you something else. Most people yesterday, while we were having the discussion of the Wake Forest game, when I said, listen, they'll get it together. There were some things there that they were really unlucky with. Some factors that played into the defeat that aren't purely rooted in coaching. The coaches didn't cause the hurricane delay and everything else where some of the rust set in and tackling and that kind of stuff. So you'll admit that's out there. You don't like to use it as a fallback excuse, but it's out there. So when you admit those things and you say, yeah, between that and starting a freshman quarterback and a couple other factors, every call that could go against them did, all those things. People are like, okay, yeah, I see it. It's a quick nod. That's a quick nod. But when you quickly follow it up with, that said, if you go on the road and lose at Snuggy Hill,
that's the leery nod, which is where are we going here?
Right.
Where are we going?
But then the knowing, the confirmation nod, the nod of certainty about what it means comes when you say, lose that game. I can't help you.
It's the nod of certitude.
Yeah. At that point, it's, we're washing our hands. I got to go Pontius Pilate on you here. If you lose to Wake, I'm washing. I'm done. We're out of here. Let the people do what they may. The Barbarians are at the gate. I can't help you. You're losing to Wake Forest on the road, Coach. Washing my hands. Good luck to you.
So are you saying that on the bar, let's just say you were watching, this game at a bar.
Yeah. Imagine that.
Yeah. Would you have the foamy hand soap ready there, sitting at the bar? Or is it underneath the bar and you'd have to ask somebody to go get it for you?
I don't need it. No, I'm eating wings and licking my fingers. I'm so certain. I feel good. We're all right. Don't worry about it.
It's a positive Wednesday.
No, we're good, man.
It's a Sperano.
Ain't nobody out here losing to Wake Forest this Saturday. That's not happening. It's not. It's not going to happen. They're going to beat Wake Forest soundly. However, that's when you break into the slow nod of certainty. I can't help you if you lose to Wake. I'll slowly walk to the restroom to get the foam soap.
Well, that's where I counter with the leery nod. You're not saying it's possible,
are you?
I
mean, it's football. Things happen. I don't know. Is there going to be a storm at Snuggy Hill? Is there going to be weird winds? I don't know. I mean, you can't, all the factors that play into that kind of stuff, I don't have it before me. So if it's just about the football, Florida State's going to be fine this weekend.
If the winds of emotion are blowing true and to the north, and the winds of confidence on the sidelines are blowing true and to the north,
we're all right.
Everything will be A-okay, buddy.
I think they're going to blow Wake Forest out. Now, I got you. I had a right prediction and a wrong prediction this past weekend, and unfortunately, my wrong prediction involved my team in Florida State. That's hurtful. I don't like that one. I'd rather get one of the other ones wrong. Okay, I'd much rather get one of the other ones wrong. I got the Florida State game wrong, and that hurts. That hurts. So I got you if you're a little jaded. You're driving down the road right now, and you're saying, well, you told me we were going to beat NC State's ass, Jeff. Why should I trust you with Wake? Well, we're a lot better than Wake. We weren't a lot better than NC State. We're a lot better than Wake. A lot better, Tom. And I'm just – well, listen, they'll make it easy. They'll make it very easy. If you are uncertain about the direction of the program, the coaching staff, the things they're getting right and wrong, the Wake Forest game, if they lose it, well, that solves that discussion. I mean, we're not done here. It won't matter the specifics. You won't have to get into the details. You just say, look, man, they're 0-3 and they lost to Wake. The hell are we doing?
Yeah.
That's the end of the discussion. You don't have to break it down. You don't have to break anything down at that point.
Yeah, with the NC State game and all the circumstances surrounding it, not just the two rosters in comparison.
Yeah.
It's your favorite political show. It'd say, well, we have a 4-point lead, yes, but the margin is 5, so we're within the margin. That doesn't mean a damn thing.
Right.
So with NC State, the margin was wider, unfortunately, the percent error. In this case, you would have to go find a way to lose this game. I mean, actively find a way.
I think so. But more importantly, this is the hardest part. And because what happens is, it will you start kicking it around, okay? You start kicking it around a little bit and then it makes you nervous. The idea that the team could lose to Wake centers around them quitting on the coaches. That's the only way it can happen. If they play up to their capabilities and they do so in a focused manner, they walk off of Snuggy Hill victorious, and decidedly so, period. They do. It's not close. If they lose, we've got a locker room issue and we've got some quitting going on from players to coaches, And then the discussion changes. The year is whatever. You're not even – at that point, you don't know week to week. You just assume almost a loss every week out. But it would reveal something that nobody is thinking right now, that nobody wants to think about. So in some ways, this is a weekend of clarity for Florida State. Are we all still on the same page here? Is everybody on the train? We're all moving in the right direction here? We don't have a mutiny on our hands here? That would be the ship, Jeff. But you see what I'm saying? We're not. Yeah. We're all right?
I suppose there could be mutiny on a train too.
It's not really usually associated. Traditionally speaking, you don't hear about too many train mutinies.
Now, that would be a fascinating movie, wouldn't it? About a train mutiny? The conductors. Well, see, for the basketball analogy, you'd be in trouble because that would be your ass.
Right. Well, we've had
that would be Millar from Caboose.
What's the bad John Travolta, Denzel Washington movie?
Oh, I was going to say, there's plenty.
Yeah, they're on a subway, and there's a mutiny there. There's not a mutiny, but he's taken over the subway.
Well, I didn't know that. No, I've never heard of that.
Matthew, you've seen every Denzel Washington film ever made. What in the world is the silly one where they're on the subway and John Travolta's the villain? He's taking it over Pelham 229 or some nonsense like that.
Yeah, taking a Pelham 123.
Hey, how about I got the Pelham?
He was writing it down as you were asking.
He knows. There's a damn sorry film there. But anyhow, that one. Now, you've never seen that when you're flipping around?
Yeah. Just embrace it, how bad it is?
Oh, yeah, do it. Like, flip around, and when it comes on, go, I'll watch this nonsense.
Kind of like Face Off?
Oh, one of the worst movies ever made. But you'll watch it. You can't help
embrace it.
Well, I shouldn't say it's one of the – that's extreme. It's terrible. But, yeah, you when you watch it, you just go, this is ridiculous, but I can't stop watching it.
So, if we lose to Wake Forest, would that be the face-off of the losses? It's just so bad you would embrace it?
Of course he is. Spirano's the offensive line coach for the Vikings.
They performed fairly well this weekend.
Just clapping, just clapping away, right?
Now, guys, we're behind the chains on first down, but we have Dalvin Cook.
It's okay. We got a lot of weapons. Listen, they're not covering Stephon Diggs. Just throw it up. Everything's all right. So what did you ask about the Pelham 123?
Well, what would a loss be to Wake Forest in cinema history? Like, what movie would you associate it with? Would it be a movie that's so bad it's funny, or would it be a movie that's just truly depressing for any number of reasons?
Well, I don't want to get into historically depressing things that actually happen, so I won't equate a football loss to actual, depictions.
No, it could be a fictional movie that's just depressing as hell, or one that's just so poorly made that you just walked out of the theater thinking, well, I just got taken to the bank.
Well, there are a lot of those.
Yeah. It'd be a bad movie one
It'd
way or
be
the
Independence
other.
Day.
Oh!
Sorriest damn film.
So we'd be, in a weird way, you're telling me that we'd be laughing and smiling at the end of this thing if it happened.
This is ridiculous.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's what Independence Day is.
Yeah, it'd be Will Smith punching aliens in the desert.
Welcome to Earth.
Yeah, just ridiculous stuff.
I could have been at a barbecue.
It'd be awful.
That's true about Saturday. I could have been at a barbecue.
Rick Pitino's not even going to get the opportunity to invoke 9/11 to save his hide, and I'm saddened by this. I wanted to see if he'd take it that extra step that we described yesterday on the program of actually saying that he suited up in a fireman's suit and charged up those steps to save lives. But we won't ever know. He can't even do it now.
My family says I'm too humble in these moments, but I thought this is the time that perhaps I should present this bit of information to you.
The idea of him sitting at a podium and actually saying that he suited up seems absurdist humor. But, Rick has invoked some crazy stuff at times of crisis. You might just be all sitting there in the press conference. Listen, actually, that story, the big story of the week, has some fascinating wrinkles to it. A couple I'll tell you about in a second. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
TNT. Landowners, Mahindra's inventory clearance sale is going on now. We're reducing prices like never before on the toughest tractors on earth. Like a Mahindra Emax 22 as low as $99 a month. Or get up to $8,100 in cash back and savings. Plus, Mahindra's 7-year limited powertrain warranty comes standard.
TNT. I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Cold beer, and Fox and Stag has you covered too, with rotating drafts and bottles sure to quench your thirst. Come by for a drink and stay for the company, Tuesday through Saturday from 5 p.m. to 2 a.m. For catering or private parties, message Fox and Stag on Facebook.
Miller's Tree Service, we go out on a limb for you.
Hey, this is Clay Culpepper with Miller's Tree Service. Summertime is here and storm season is right around the corner. We offer free consultations with a certified arborist where we meet with you and advise you on which trees are healthy, diseased, dead, or ones that may need trimming or even removal.
Miller's Tree Service, we go out on a limb for you.
Give us a call at 894-TREE.
Football season is in full swing, and so is AAA One Transmission. AAA One Transmission is locally owned and operated by Tim Pridgett, who's been servicing the Tallahassee area for over 37 years. Brakes, transmissions, electrical systems, tune-ups, and battery checks. No matter what ails your vehicle, AAA One Transmission can make your automobile healthy again. Don't put off your auto repairs. Stop it at 1023 North Monroe Street or call them at 222-2532.
Protect your home and your family. The Parker Brothers tell you the truth. We'll fix your roof, 'cause it's what we do. With quality, integrity, and pride. Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
Hey, this is Travis with Parker Brothers Roofing. No one besides us wants to hear that you need a new roof. It's one of the biggest home improvements you have to make, and Parker Brothers Roofing understands. We now offer financing for 0% over 60 months. Yes, that's 5 years. Call us today for 5 years interest-free financing on that new roof. 656-8112. That's 656-8112, or go to parkerbrothersroofing.net.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
License number CCC 049350.
You check things all the time, like your email every 10 seconds, or your ex's Instagram. But what about checking something as important as your credit? Well, Discover makes it quick, easy, and best of all, free. Discover is now offering FICO credit scores to everyone for free, even if you're not a customer. And checking your score won't hurt your credit. We call it the Discover Credit Scorecard. And once you know your score, you should check to see if your current credit card is the best fit for you. Check your credit, compare your card. Go to discover.com/credit scorecard. Limitations apply.
Can't decide between fresh steak, seafood, or wings? Well, Miller's Ale House on Appalachia Parkway has it all. From center-cut sirloin and original pastas to fresh salads and favorites like Miller's Signature Zingers, tossed in your favorite sauce. Miller's Ale House has a full-service bar featuring more than 75 beers, plus wine and liquors. Bring the family to watch the big game inside or on their covered patio on one of over 60 HD TVs. However you come to relax, you will have a good time and great food at Miller's Ale House on Appalachia Parkway.
You're listening to The Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
All right, I'll get to that Louisville thing in a second. Team 6. ESPN Tallahassee on YouTube, where the people on the board have informed me that Snowpiercer has a train mutiny. We were wondering about train mutinies. We've got one. The folks there say, hey, man, Snowpiercer's got a train mutiny. We got a train mutiny on the Snowpiercer. Everybody run and hide. So here's what's funny about that. I've never heard of Snowpiercer because let's all admit that's a ridiculous name for a movie or a train. But as soon as I saw the, I typed it in here, and apparently Snowpiercer was very well received. Like, seriously.
Yeah, but if you read the synopsis,
it's not something you would ever want to see.
It's like sorry.
So it's hokey, right? I mean, imagine if I said, hey, guys, I'm going to see Snowpiercer tonight. You want to go? I've not heard of Snowpiercer. Well, there's a train mutiny. You should come on. Let's go. Let's go see it. What's it about? Well, it's a post-apocalyptic ice age that forces humanity's last survivors aboard a globe-spanning super train. Oh. Chris Evans is in it. And his character anyhow, has to risk everything in order to lead a revolt for control of the engine, which in essence means the future of the world. I mean, it's the last train of civilization, and it goes around the globe somehow. It's the Snowpiercer. That's crazy.
Oh, look at that. Ed Harris is in it.
Yeah, I don't think he has a main role. It doesn't look like he has a...
Let me guess. He's in control, and he wants more control.
You think so?
That seems to be a role that he's kind of fit for.
There's a cast of a gazillion people would know in this thing. John Hurt is in it. Ed Harris is in it. Tilda Swinton, who's fantastic, is in it. Chris Evans is in it. I don't care about Chris Evans, but he's in it. All right. Who else is in this thing? A lot of Japanese guys are in this movie, too. Was it made in Japan? I don't know. I got to have to research this.
Maybe it's a spinoff of...
some sort of show or something
yeah,
I don't know about. Anyhow, Snowpiercer is now going to be a TV show in addition. So the train mutiny didn't stop in the cinema. No, sir. We're moving on. There will be a cast and crew, and I think Jennifer Connelly's fine ass is going to be in that. Yes.
Oh, man.
I mean that respectfully, of course, ladies. I'm saying she a great actress. And she is. But
especially in the late 90s.
She's going to be in it.
Yeah.
And, I don't see... Times are tough, apparently, for Jennifer Connelly. She's decided to be in Snowpiercer, the TV show.
I mean, apparently it was so critically acclaimed that perhaps this is something that...
Well, I mean, you got to make a living. I got you. Just a tremendous actress.
Well, there you go.
See, and she is.
That would be a cool movie about a train mutiny, and they're telling you...
You've seen Requiem for a Dream, haven't you?
I have. Disturbing.
Oh.
Yes.
Yes, she's fantastic.
Disturbing movie.
Very well, I liked it, though.
Yes.
Yeah. Beautiful Mind is probably more suitable for the audience if they're looking for Jennifer Connelly films.
Probably.
Yeah.
The Rocketeer.
Blood Diamond.
Yeah. I go with The Rocketeer.
The Hulk.
The Day the Earth Stood Still.
Yeah.
With Keanu.
Oh.
Riding shotgun with Keanu.
I forgot about that. You don't have to be any good at all. Keanu Reeves is proof of that. To be in a gazillion films. You got to have the look, though. You got to carry the day.
He'd be good at killing, though. Have you seen the video with him with all the weapons?
I've seen that movie, whatever that movie is.
Well, he's training for whatever that movie is, right? And so they showed him at a shooting range, and he's loaded up, with all the vests and stuff.
He's just shooting stuff?
Accurately, and he's moving all over the course. I mean, it is a picture of what you're supposed to do.
In Mulholland Falls, and that was a really good movie.
Was it?
Yeah, you'd like it.
Okay.
There's been a lot of good movies. You're right about The Rocketeer. That was good, too. You go way back. What was the movie in the 80s and early 90s she was in? She was like at one of the,
The best was, they had just come from Howard Hughes' place in The Rocketeer, and the mob teams up with the police to shoot Nazis at the Hindenburg because the Nazis are absconding with Jennifer Connelly on the Hindenburg.
Can't do that.
Yeah, not allowed.
Still stunning. How old is Jennifer Connelly? I think she's about a year or two older than me.
Yeah, I'd put her at 45 or 46.
I'm 46.
Oh, you're making me look it up. I'm sorry.
No,
I'll look it up right now.
I'm going to guess she's my age or a year or two older, somewhere in there. I think we're about the same age. That's an aside. Her or Salma Hayek, by the way?
She is.
Good call. That's a good. Just saying. In terms of grading out actresses of that era.
Yeah, she will turn 47 this year in December.
There it is.
So there it is.
There
yeah.
it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. So there is a little side note here, and it doesn't involve the mutiny on the train, Snowpiercer. But the Louisville story and the story of college basketball and now the feds being involved, the apparel company targeted in the federal college basketball recruiting scandal has deeper ties to the University of Louisville than just the $160 million contract extension that was sealed this summer. Adidas also employs athletic director Tom Jurich's daughter. Were you aware of that? Well, former athletic director now.
Well, he's on leave, right?
Yeah, yes. Well, you know what that's all about. That's the firing with cause.
Right.
The person has to have a chance to retort.
Well, he's on leave, and they're earmarking him to be reinstated fully, I would think.
No. I legitimately think the whole thing with Pitino and him, they're done.
That was just me being sarcastic.
Okay. Sorry, I thought you were serious for that for a second, because there are plenty of people who probably think that, but no, those guys are gone. It's that you can't just fire them without, I think it's a 10 to 15-day period where they have the right to respond to what they're being accused of.
Well, then you show cause too, and that obviously changes the way
changes the money dynamic.
You compensate them after the relationship is over.
Well, his daughter is the brand manager, NCAA brand communications manager, and so all kinds of ties.
Really? Mm-hmm. Well, that's a pretty obvious conflict of interest. She couldn't have been the director of sales for, European marketing or something, like specifically away from that's just bad, man. That's sloppy.
Well, I don't think they thought they were going to get caught, Tom.
Oh,
I mean, when it all comes out in the wash, some things seem readily apparent, right? You usually go, well, why would you do that? Well, the answer is always they didn't think they'd get caught.
Well, sure, but I mean, wouldn't you want it to be set up so that, if somebody approaches athletic director Jurich, they say, doesn't your daughter work for Adidas with all of, the contracts you have? And he says, oh, yes, but she works in European marketing. She's actually based out of Paris. She doesn't work for the American sales at all.
Dave writes, maybe I'm not understanding this correctly, but why would the feds care about 4 assistant college basketball coaches steering existing players on a team's roster to clothing retailers, agents, or financial advisors? Yes, those universities do receive federal funds, but those funds likely aren't directly used for athletics. It would seem to me that if the players still have eligibility and are receiving perks, then this would be an NCAA issue. The issue with the Adidas reps paying bribes to recruits to attend certain schools clearly amounts to violations of both federal law and NCAA rules, since you have direct corporate influence over recruits as opposed to players already enrolled. Pitino and Jurich have reportedly paid the price for this now, as we know. But what about the U, who supposedly used $150,000 of Adidas bribe money to steer player 12 to sign with them? Is Jim Larinaga going to get fired with all of this, or will Coach 3 have to fall on the sword? It's interesting, right?
Well, I think it's, unless it's already known, and Dave, you've read the entire document, I think part of what's being explored here is when those relationships began. If it's assistant coaches that are, the process only begins for them after the kid is committed, and then they steer him to an agent and to, clothiers or whatever. The kickback money, I don't know. I don't know. I would think that it's in the door and out the door. You're looking at the whole process here, and perhaps the investigators wouldn't posit that this whole process begins when the kid's already on campus and committed, and then the assistant coach enters only after the kid is on campus. That this is a fluid situation where these relationships exist for both before they get to the university and after they leave the university.
My favorite part of this is that Pitino has survived what on the surface always seems so much worse than this, but he's not going to survive this. So it has a feel to it of, like he's basically at the university running a prostitution ring for recruits at one point. He survives that, but he's not going to survive this, where he might legitimately not have known. Like, we'll find out. But it feels a little bit like Capone getting busted for tax evasion, despite the hookers and the blow and the alcohol and everything else, right? This seems like he's going to be thinking, of all things, this takes me down. Oh, well, so players being paid or being steered to a university in college basketball. Who doesn't know that goes on, right? We all. But that's going to be the thing that gets him.
Well, yeah, because the university can say, rightly, listen, Rick, you're telling us you don't know about any of these things.
So, what do you know about Rick?
What 9/11? Do you know?
That's what he'd say.
You don't know about anything, Rick. Clearly, you're incompetent to run this program.
Well, there is now an actual rule in place that, in essence, states that you can't hide behind "I don't know." Coaches now are held accountable because forever in a day they just said "I didn't know." And plausible deniability, if you could pull it off, was something that existed for a long time for coaches, and somebody had to wear it. No doubt, got paid off to do so. And that's true of any number of established power source, wherever you want to look at it, whether it's government.
I think my favorite thing about this whole story, because this is going to be a documentary sooner than later, once it all comes out.
He's 60 at the very least, right?
Right.
30 for 30.
But I mean, even, if it's something that's going to last some time, so you can show, your grandkids or me show my kids, and this was just out of nowhere. This happened in the middle of a football season in 2017. And the last clip they'll show of Pitino in public is him wearing the skin-tight Louisville football jersey on College game day.
It's the worst.
10 days later, Pitino would be implicated.
There's two pictures that are out there now with him wearing that ridiculous jersey. That probably, anyhow, there are a lot of off-putting jokes for people that I could make. But the point is that he's trying to flex in one of those photos, and it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing beyond reason. Like, somebody has to talk to these people before they go out on the podium or the dais, or they talk to a reporter, or they're hamming it up for the camera. Now, Rick, you do know that you look like a buffoon. You look like a small little girl wearing that jersey. Stop going out there flexing.
But they're going to show that as either a full-on clip or the B-roll, in which they fade to black and white and then put the subtitles on the screen. It says Rick Pitino, 10 days later, was implicated in the FBI probe into college basketball.
The FBI alleged that Gatto, Code, Dawkins, and Augustine attempted to broker a deal to send another high school player to Miami, an Adidas-sponsored school, for $150,000. The payments from Adidas to player 12 were allegedly requested specifically by a coach at Miami, Coach 3, who allegedly called Gatto directly and who, according to Dawkins, Code, and Augustine, knows everything, and in particular knows something's got to happen for player 12 to commit to this university. I would think if we reveal that player is indeed that coach is indeed Jim Larrañaga, he's gone, which he has done a fine job. What a shame.
That's a hell of a run. That's a big-time run.
It's a good run. Peace out, Jim.
Well, here's the thing, okay? You're going to have to wait for all this to come out, and the tip line that they have up.
It's hilarious. I would love to listen to the voicemails on the tip line.
And you know what else?
I've thought for years.
This is
cheating sons of bitches.
This is why Indiana basketball is down. Clearly, look at all this that's going on around.
We should have been paying off our players years ago.
But the NCAA is going to act in the wake of all of this. Once the FBI gets its pound of flesh.
Maybe. But anymore, do you trust the NCAA to do anything to anybody ever?
Well, if it's not named North Carolina, then yes, I do. And with what happened with Miami and the black cloud, and then eventually the NCAA couldn't do a damn thing because there was impropriety found, well, how about this? They have another opportunity to penalize the University of Miami.
Yeah, wouldn't that be a thing of beauty? Got to believe at some point that we read about how this carried over into football.
At some point.
Yeah, you want to read into this, and a lot of people today, especially where we are, go, whatever. I know, I get it's a major basketball scandal. Always figured basketball was crooked, knew it was crooked, but it's basketball. I don't really care. Well, let's see how soon this carries over into football.
The thing I would say is I wouldn't believe the amounts would be that large because, again...
No, because there's so few people on a roster in a basketball. It changes everything to be able to get one of those guys.
Right. It changes everything about your team year to year. Right. And also, there are so few people that are earmarked to be going to the NBA. You can come as the number one player in the country at a high school, ranked by all the recruiting services, to any football institution, and by the time you're a junior, it's not shocking to be considered a bust.
Right.
That happens so much more often than it does with a basketball player. So to me, I would think the amounts of money would be much, much, much smaller if these exact scenarios were to happen in football.
For people that, there are plenty of people who are wondering what specifically are the charges. And, of course, those were announced yesterday by the U.S. Attorney June H. Kim at the news conference. And there were two different distinct sets of allegations. The U.S. Attorney is alleging that assistant coaches, those were the ones at Arizona, Auburn, Oklahoma State, and Southern Cal took cash bribes in order to steer elite players towards certain financial advisors and agents. The assistants that were named in the indictment, the rifleman Chuck Person, I talked about him, Emmanuel Richardson, Lamont Evans, and Tony Bland. Each of those coaches are charged with bribery, conspiracy, solicitation of bribes, fraud, conspiracy, honest service fraud, conspiracy to commit wire fraud, travel act conspiracy. The U.S. Department of Justice said each of the coaches faces a maximum sentence of 80 years in prison. They're not going to do 80 years in prison. In the second set of allegations, authorities say that James Gatto, on behalf of an unnamed sportswear company, this is, we think, from what we've read, is Adidas, amongst others, funneled six-figure payments to 3 players who in exchange committed to play for particular college programs who were affiliated with that shoe brand. This set of charges includes a reference to Louisville. 3 of the 4 coaches were arrested yesterday morning, along with James Gatto, who's the director of global sports marketing for Adidas. So the scope of the alleged bribes goes to we have $18,500 for one player, $100,000 for the best player. There's one $40,000 bribe, and there's a lot of that stuff going to pay off in there.
A couple of basic questions I have, and one question really, and then another observation about what the conversation's like in other markets. The question I have, I don't want to keep my eye off the prize here. This is about the machine. This is what the FBI is doing. They're looking at the machine, and they want to take down whatever this machine is. But what culpability does the player or the player's family have, in terms of the legal system? You don't have to take the bribe. But if you do, does that make you culpable? And
yeah, you don't have to take the money.
Does that put you in a position where they're going to come after those particular individuals?
I don't think so. I bet you, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see that there would be NCAA violations, obviously, but is it illegal for me to say to somebody recruiting me, I don't know the answer to this, and forgive my ignorance, and
Sure.
It's probably exactly what it is. But if somebody comes to recruit me and I say I'd like $50,000.
Sure. Well, if there's conspiracies, and I get it, some people work for the institution that's federally funded.
Right. Yeah,
and,
that's the problem. Yeah.
There's a player that's going to be attending the university that's federally funded.
That's right.
I'll grant you that. But, if you're offering a bribe and somebody takes the bribe, does that not tie them into some sort of legal action that they're facing? The observation is, up in Louisville right now, obviously they're scattering. But the fans are saying, well, if Jurich is gone, and let's say the next athletic director is brought in to clean house, what does that mean for the football program of Coach Pitino? Does that mean that the football program...
Well, you run such a squeaky clean
I know their APR score is through the roof. Their academics are top-notch there. But what does that mean for the football program if that's the image that Louisville wants to portray with its next hire, and how does that impact the football team?
The NCAA president, Mark Emmert, said this about all of this. The nature of the charges brought by the federal government are deeply disturbing. We have no tolerance whatsoever for this alleged behavior. Coaches hold a unique position of trust with student athletes and their families, and these bribery allegations, if true, suggest an extraordinary and despicable breach of trust. We learned of these charges this morning, and, of course, will support the ongoing criminal investigation. The NCAA was made aware of the investigation Tuesday. So, he's going to wait to see how it all shakes out and let, like you said, the government get their piece of the pie, and then he'll come in and say, all right, we got a problem here, guys. As for Pitino, I don't think it's shocking that this would be the way that it ends. But so often these guys, I wonder, he's late in a career. Really late in a career. There's not a rebound for Pitino, I don't think.
Oh, nice pun unintentionally there. But what's next for Rick is that he's going to write a tell-all book.
And he's going to work for ESPN.
And he's going to go on Real Sports and say, well, of course I was involved. Of course I was involved top to bottom. That's the way the business was. But I was trapped. What was I supposed to do?
Oh, the pity.
Right. And then he's tearing up with his... anyway.
The fake tears, and then somehow he's going to tie that into Billy Minardi being trapped.
And he's going to write a harrowing book that people are going to buy in droves, and it's going to be a New York Times bestseller.
Yeah. And then he'll get another job.
Yep. Oh, you bet your ass. That's what's coming next.
Just in time to save the Knicks. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Landowners, Mahindra's inventory clearance sale is going on now. We're reducing prices like never before on the toughest utility vehicles on earth. Like a Mahindra XTV 750S as low as $135 a month. Or get up to $3,450 in cash back and savings. Plus, Mahindra's 3-year limited powertrain warranty comes standard.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my poor truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Starter on a Lions volleyball team which has reached the state semifinals each of the past 2 seasons. In those years, Jordan leads the team in both assists and aces. In the classroom, Jordan carries a 3.7 GPA and received the ACE Academic Award in her freshman year. She volunteers at the local homeless shelter as well as the Dialysis Center for Treatment. Jordan Garacki will be continuing her volleyball career at Santa Fe College in Gainesville under former UF coach Nick Chironis. As the September female winner of the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac High School Scholar Athlete of the Month, Leon's Jordan Garacki is now qualified as a finalist for the Dale Jr. $2,500 end-of-the-year scholarship. Check out all of the Athlete of the Month winners by visiting our website, espntallahassee.com. And to help support the folks at Dale Jr., check them out on the corner of Capitol Circle Northeast and Miccosukee, or by visiting online at Dale Earnhardt Jr. BuickGMCCadillac.com.
Contact your local CenturyLink retail store to enter for a chance to win the CenturyLink Ultimate Football Fan Experience, which includes a trip to the biggest game of the year. For eligibility and official rules, go to CenturyLinkFanForLife.com/FAQ. CenturyLink, your link to what's next.
If you've been suffering from a chronic illness and prescription drugs aren't working, it's time to seek alternative treatment. Dr. Joe Dorn provides evaluations and ordering of natural products for patients who qualify under the new Amendment 2 law. To make an appointment with Dr. Dorn or for a free e-visit, go to mmtcfl.com. That's mmtcfl.com. Visit Dr. Dorn at our Tallahassee MMT Clinic on Capitol Circle Northeast, next to the Cake Shop. It's time to stop suffering and seek affordable and compassionate care.
You check things all the time, like your email every 10 seconds, or your ex's Instagram. But what about checking something as important as your credit? Well, Discover makes it quick, easy, and best of all, free. Discover is now offering FICO credit scores to everyone for free, even if you're not a customer. And checking your score won't hurt your credit. We call it the Discover Credit Scorecard. And once you know your score, you should check to see if your current credit card is the best fit for you. Check your credit, Compare your card. Go to discover.com/credit scorecard. Limitations apply.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Career Opportunities was the name of the Jennifer Connelly film, where she was fantastic. Lewis writes, I gasped when you guys bashed Face Off and Independence Day. Then I thought about it and realized that my love was purely nostalgic. Hashtag a-hole. Good job, Lewis. That's true.
Man, I have to say that
hashtag a-hole.
The double feature I saw last year of Independence Day and the sequel in the theater was awesome. I mean, because I just knew what I was in for. I knew what I was in for, but being able to see the first Independence Day in the big screen was awesome. My parents didn't want me seeing it. I was only 9 years old when it first came out, and they weren't sure what it was going to be like. But that was just, what an experience. I mean, if you can embrace how bad it is, you can really get a lot of enjoyment out of that first movie.
Because you were 9 when it came out, I understand how it was that you're able to do that. I went to the theater as a college graduate to see it, and it was ridiculous. Sources, employees of Nike's EYBL grassroots division, along with documents, have been subpoenaed by FBI in furtherance of investigation. That's a tweet somebody posted to us. So there's more. There'll be a lot more. Yesterday on the show, in passing, I noted, well, it can't just be Adidas that was, or people who work for Adidas throwing around money to recruits. My guess is there are plenty of others.
Well, yeah,
who have deeper pockets.
Over under 20 other Power 5 big-time institutions that
over how many?
Over under 20 Power 5 or big-time institutions right now that are not named that are going, is that phone going to ring?
Well, first of all, as soon as this occurred yesterday, I immediately began to think that there would be no fewer than, 25 to 50 programs that immediately went, or coaching staffs, or people that are quote-unquote friends of whatever program that are thinking, oh, well, this is not good. I mean,
that have legitimate fears that they see the pattern and they go, well, that's out of our playbook.
It's one guy that's a friend of the program that has been involved in their efforts to recruit at an elite level at this school, that school, this school, that school. You go on down the list. How many schools take the sport of basketball very seriously enough that they seek to compete to be a Final Four contender year in and year out and are in the market for the services of world-class basketball players that can change the fortune of your program overnight? There are a lot of schools that fit that description. I'm not saying they're all dirty. I don't know who is and who isn't, but I would think we'd probably be naive to think fewer than 15 to 20 schools are very concerned today.
Well, if this makes its inroads into the Northeast or, the Midwest, the two big, basketball cultures, especially for college basketball, where they really care about it, I think the Atlanta Journal-Constitution or the Times-Picayune
should write stories with a similar disdain and condescending nature to the ones that are written about football all the time.
They should send people up north, embed them, and then just write, the truth. I mean, the absolute truth.
Just the truth.
About these cultures, these basketball cultures.
Right. Co-op the whole story.
Yeah, why not?
Go with that. Yeah, it would be funny. It would be a little taste of the medicine. Yeah, you would think, listen, I don't want to besmirch or find myself named in a lawsuit anytime soon, but, certainly that Boeheim-run Syracuse program doesn't feel like it's always been, down the straight and narrow, right? I mean.
What if they got K? Oh,
I'd celebrate in a way you can't understand.
I have a feeling the FBI would stop short if there was evidence leading to K.
You think he's that connected? He gets a break from the FBI?
I think they'd say, well, we can't go that far. We can't destroy the people's hope in all of everything because Duke is what's good.
And ain't nobody's hope in Coach K besides Team USA.
I'm Teflon.
God, if there's only one person that goes down for all of this, I hope it's Coach K. Spare Pitino.
And Calipari is exonerated.
Oh, I'd love it if Calipari's sitting back laughing now. He's,
In fact, we investigated Lexington thoroughly, and we found
just couldn't find anything. It was stunning.
He's just a hell of a recruiter.
Yeah, super nice guy. We had dinner with him. Loved him. I could see how he wins these recruits over.
That's really him.
That's just who he is. This freaking guy is on the up and up. Loves the kids. Comes across when he's in their living rooms. Sure. No, I don't know. But I would think there are a lot of nervous individuals and a lot of people hey, we had a lawyer call in the show during the break, and so I joked about the whole thing with Capone.
Right.
Racketeering, murder, all these other things that he's involved in, and they bust him for tax evasion. But it's usually the way. If you can't convict on or prove all of those other things, the influx of dollars not reported to the government is generally frowned upon, and they come down hard. And if they do that to little guys, and they sure as hell do it to big guys. So the deal with that is, man, if you're talking about $100,000 and all this other money that's changing hands and...
Well, yeah. Well, and maybe that's what the players and the player families would be approached for, but certainly the coaches.
The one he said it's going to end with tax evasion.
Like $96,000 to a coach and then $18,500 makes it to a family. Well, what happened to that?
What happened to all the other money, right? That's a lot of money.
I didn't see a declaration on your 2015 tax return, sir.
Think about how rewarding it is for those people that have had to sit through condescending press conferences given by Rick Pitino in which he scolds them for questions he believes are beneath him. And just thinking back on his press conference in which he said, we've got to get these shoe companies out of the lives of our recruits. He said that the same year he made more money personally off the shoe company that they are sponsored by than any other coach.
But if I don't take the money, then I'm out of a job. I've got to take the money. Because if I can do a little bit of good by taking the money of the shoe companies, then I can save people.
The ones who survived 9/11.
That's right.
I understand, Rick. I know you're broken up now. You can't continue to talk further. You got to help these kids and the families of 9/11.
It's very hard.
What do you think I built Billy Minotti Hall with?
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Landowners, Mahindra's inventory clearance sale is going on now. We're reducing prices like never before on the toughest tractors on earth. Like a Mahindra Emax 22 as low as $99 a month. Or get up to $8,100 in cash back and savings. Plus, Mahindra's 7-year limited powertrain warranty comes standard.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
The The new Fox and Stag, Tallahassee's local craft cocktail bar in the heart of Midtown on Thomasville Road and 5th Avenue, featuring a newly expanded liquor menu including limited release scotches, whiskeys, and bourbons, as well as unique spirits distilled right here in Florida. If wine is your thing, swing by and try one of Fox and Stag's hand-selected bottles from their ever-expanding wine list, or simply enjoy one by the glass paired with a charcuterie board or delicious small plates. Sometimes you just want a cold beer, and Fox and Stag has you covered too, with rotating drafts and bottles sure to quench your thirst. Come by for a drink and stay for the company, Tuesday through Saturday from 5 p.m. to 2 a.m. For catering or private parties, message Fox and Stag on Facebook.
Contact your local CenturyLink retail store to enter for a chance to win the CenturyLink Ultimate Football Fan Experience, which includes a trip to the biggest game of the year. For eligibility and official rules, go to CenturyLinkFanForLife.com/FAQ. CenturyLink, your link to what's next.
Fire up the grills for another season of Seminole football.
2nd and 3, patient, then explosive, and a touchdown for the Noles.
It's Tallahassee Game Day, your ESPN Tallahassee pregame show, featuring Jeff Cameron and Tom Lang.
Yeah, I like them.
Get the latest news, interviews, and insights 3 hours ahead of kickoff before the Noles defend home turf.
Hey, on Saturday, we're going to play a game. We're going to most likely win that game, and we're going to celebrate on Sunday.
Tallahassee Game Day is brought to you by Whole Foods Market, a leader in natural and organic food that brings the highest quality of local and global products to Tallahassee. Whole Foods Market, located at 1817 Thomasville Road, and presented by MMT Clinics of Florida. Visit MMTCFL.com.
To the pylon! That's a Seminoles touchdown!
You check things all the time, like your email every 10 seconds, or your ex's Instagram. But what about checking something as important as your credit? Well, Discover makes it quick, easy, and best of all, free. Discover is now offering FICO credit scores to everyone for free, even if you're not a customer. And checking your score won't hurt your credit. We call it the Discover Credit Scorecard. And once you know your score, you should check to see if your current credit card is the best fit for you. Check your credit, compare your card. Go to discover.com/credit scorecard. Limitations apply.
Parker Brothers Roofing says don't play games with your roof. Protect your home and your family. The Parker Brothers tell you the truth. We'll fix your roof, 'cause it's what we do. With quality, integrity, and pride. Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
Hey, this is Travis with Parker Brothers Roofing. No one besides us wants to hear that you need a new roof. It's one of the biggest home improvements you have to make, and Parker Brothers Roofing understands. We now offer financing for 0% over 60 months. Yes, that's 5 years. Call us today for 5 years interest-free financing on that new roof. 656-8112. That's 656-8112, or go to parkerbrothersroofing.net.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
License number CCC 049350.
Broadcasting live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Here's what's happening. Amid the federal investigation into fraud and corruption in college basketball recruiting, Louisville's place coach Rick Pitino and athletic director Tom Jurich on administrative leave. Pitino's attorney told the Louisville Courier-Journal he's been effectively fired. This scandal should be a tipping point for how the NCAA is run, in the opinion of ESPN's Dick Vitale.
And it's about time we do something about all of this. We need a czar. We need somebody in charge, a command, a guy that can take charge, representing college basketball when the rumors come down, to do something about it. I am upset, frustrated, and disgusted to hear all what I'm hearing now. It's a shame. It's fleacy. It's no good.
NFL Colts coach Chuck Pagano says QB Andrew Luck will not practice this week. The team hopes to integrate Luck, who's coming off shoulder surgery, into practice next week. Baseball, Twins wrap up an AL wildcard spot and will play in the postseason for the first time since 2010 with a win tonight against the Indians or an Angels loss to the White Sox. Minnesota at Cleveland at 6:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
It's official. Weekends are now reserved for football. So come watch it at B-Dubs with other fans who are all there for the same reason. To watch sports. In a place packed with roaring fans and a vast menu of food. It's built for fans. It's home for football. It's Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
To Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Thanks for tuning to it. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you're going to listen live via the streaming. That's free always. Good Balls McWednesday to you. Not a good Balls McWednesday for Rick Pitino, but a fine Balls McWednesday for you and me. Because we turn the page, we move forward. It's time to watch Florida State football against Wake. It feels like we've constantly been clamoring for the next game, although at some point you got to win one of them. Makes rooting for the next game a little bit more interesting because, well, there could be more at stake if you actually start to win games. Hey, lost in all this discussion yesterday and the day before and the frustrations that boiled over from Saturday is technically Florida State certainly does control their own destiny. They could continue to win out or could win and then continue to win, and that would solve everything. Win the ACC.
Well, yeah, assuming NC State doesn't run the table from here on out.
They're not going to run the table.
Okay, well,
so
you never know.
They're not going to. Somebody said yesterday about the conversation we were having on Headlines that if we changed the jerseys on the NC State players, our view of what NC State would be different. No, we acknowledge that there were some players on that NC State team that would start for Florida State, in particular a few players on defense. But the larger conversation was about the fact that Florida State is a lot more talented than NC State. That is a fact.
I'm just banking on us getting revenge on NC State in the playoff because once we play them, we're in the Final Four with NC State. We're going to hammer them.
Well, at this point, I guess we should revise W's and L's, not only because we're 0-2, but because a game has been removed from the schedule. So there was some of the W's and L's predictions just simply couldn't be true. And even if we make that game up, and by the way, how sparsely attended would that game be? After Florida, if we have 4 losses, you're playing Louisiana Monroe as a makeup game?
I can't believe that's a real thing.
I'm sure Louisiana Monroe would agree to it. They want their $1.2 million.
But why? That's just embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
Fine, but you know exactly the answer. The answer, that question was rhetorical, I'm guessing, because the answer is to pad your resume, to have another win on the ledger. What if we're 6-5, 7-4?
We're 5-6, looking to go to a bowl.
Right. Well, then you'd really have to play.
Oh, yeah.
I can't foresee that, by the way. They're not going to go. Let me clarify the point for those that have just kind of tuned in and tuned out and all of that. No, they're not going to go on to have a catastrophically bad year. I don't believe that. I don't. Now, it's already not a good start, not a good year. I mean, you got 2 losses and you've played 2 games. Not good. Admittedly, one of those games is against the number 1 ranked team in the country, and you acquitted yourself all right. So this game's important. Let's see what they are. I do think the legitimate aspects of pinning some of the problems on the delay center around not being in football shape. I think that's true. You can only practice and try to recreate in practice a game-like atmosphere so much, and you really can't do it. You can't. Because everybody out there knows it's not a game. The repercussions of missing a block or a tackle or executing poorly an assignment aren't the same in practice. They're just not. You can't. There's no way to replicate that. Also, the adrenaline you feel while playing a game is real. It's a little bit like, listen, I understand when you are sparring as a boxer that you have to be locked in and you have to think, and it's it's a big deal. But he's a sparring partner. He's not trying to knock you out. And you fight that prize fight, I guarantee you the spike in adrenaline is something that has to be learned over time and managed through experience. The golfer leading in the final round of a major. Lots of guys fail miserably in that situation repeatedly until they've done it enough to figure out how it all adds up, what that adrenaline does to each shot, what it does to their breathing, the way they view the course, how far the ball's going to go. Playing a game is a lot different than playing in a scrimmage or practicing for weeks on end. So I do think they were hurt there. A number of people noted in their write-in questions and in our email inbox and on Twitter that they look winded. And why did they look winded? How are they out of shape? They've had all this time to practice and get themselves game shape, practice shape, two different things. I think it was a reality. I do think there were factors involved without playing a game that Florida State could not replicate, and it hurt them in this game specifically. Is it why they lost? No. But it was one of many things to note about that game that I think are legit. Now, there were plenty of other things to note about that game that are legit too, that have to do with coaching and execution and, so on and so on.
There's something that, you talked about it with Ira on Monday, and then I heard it yesterday again on headlines. The focus immediately out of that game is, well, come on, defense. We need to lean on you here, and you're not getting the job done. And that's a same old for a lot of people that thought time was up before the season began. Okay. Granted, I got you. But where do you stand on the offense and the inconsistency?
They've scored 2 touchdowns in 2 games in 8 quarters.
But what's reasonable to be expected from a true freshman quarterback moving forward? This game, next week after that against Miami.
Mm-hmm.
What do you envision this offense being? Eventually a strength of the team? Auden Tate's now out too. Is this offense reasonable? Are expectations for this offense reasonable to say that they should score between 24 and 30 points a game? Over 30 points a game? The defense has to hold an opponent down to 17 or fewer points for us to feel good about our chances? Where do your expectations for what we do fall?
Well, it certainly changes every week based on whom you're facing, who it is you're playing. NC State had a very good front seven, really talented players on that side of the football that we obviously struggled to block, in particular Chubb. So, every week we'll look at the opposing team and say, hey, this is a matchup problem or this is something we can exploit. You do that every week. I don't think you can carry over certain assumptions regarding consistency. I think that's lost because of the loss of a starting quarterback and the inexperience that follows by inserting a freshman. And then you incorporate the injuries, as you just noted. But I listen again. I've said my assertion when I posited that I thought there would be elements of the passing game that would improve with James Blackman at quarterback. They're still in play. I still believe that. I saw enough in this game against NC State, who's a real good defense, to let me know that kid's going to be good. And so those expectations, I'm not walking back. I believe by the end of the year, we're going to be thrilled that James Blackman has had this opportunity to play because we're going to feel like you have a real good quarterback moving forward. And maybe if DeAndre Francois gets healthy in time, he can compete, and we could have a real good quarterback competition. Maybe Fields comes in. All of a sudden, you suddenly feel a lot better about the quarterback position. But I think his play alone will get us feeling pretty well. And Jimbo will get more comfortable with what he's comfortable with, and he'll feel more comfortable in regular game speed. This was important for him to get a game under his belt. And so I think he'll continue to improve.
Well, I think the narrative last week was the defense will be the one that's counted on to win you games. And then the offense is going to be a work in progress with flashes of big plays, flashes of potential. But if the defense, and it will improve this week, I mean, it's just going to happen. But if the defense isn't good enough to win you games by itself, how much can the offense put up a fight? How does that impact your projections on the W's and the L's? Can the offense be good enough to go out and win you a football game as currently constructed on a given week? Or is that just so far out of the picture that we need to focus on, hey, man, this defense has to hold opponents under a certain number or else we don't have a fighting chance?
Yeah.
That's a hard question. I got you, but we've now seen it one time. Basically, all right, are you still thinking that this defense is capable by the end of the season of being a dominant defense week to week? Or is that out the window?
I don't trust Charles Kelly to get them to perform at the highest levels week to week.
Okay. We established that on Monday, but now with Jimbo, how much do you trust Jimbo in this current circumstance to produce a consistent enough offense to acquit themselves and give you a chance to win week to week? Or are there going to be weeks now where the offense is clunky and you don't even have a prayer?
Well, when he's talking about Auden Tate being out and it's still day-to-day, suddenly you get very concerned about what's possible with the offense and consistency, because clearly James Blackman had a very special relationship brewing and developing with Auden Tate, whom he could count on and was already having a career day. So if he's going to be out for an extended period of time, it's really not likely that they can have a whole lot of consistent success. They can have their moments. If he's going to be back and healthy and be a really reliable guy to go along with Keith Gavin, and I'd like to see Izzo worked more into this, then and maybe a little bit more reliance on the run game, then, yeah, I think they can be pretty decent. Not great, but decent. I'm going to need Nooney Murray to show up at some point this year, and I'm going to need other guys to grow up in a hurry.
Yeah, suddenly it feels like George Campbell matters greatly.
Yeah,
does it
it does feel that way. Doesn't it? I agree with you.
More
I really
so
do.
than maybe number 8?
Yeah, I mean, I know plenty of people who came into this year believing that this receiving core was going to be very, very good, even elite. I didn't share that sentiment necessarily. I thought they could be good. I didn't think it was a calamity. I thought they could be decent to good. But we were waiting to see if Naquan Murray could be dependable, reliable, trustworthy, a leader, a guy who steps up, knowing that no matter who was playing quarterback for this team, they were going to need him to take a step forward. I don't know that I believe he's going to do that at this point.
He hasn't to this point.
Well, right, and he's shown nothing but inconsistencies in his time here. So in that department, he's shown flashes of brilliance as well, in fairness to him. But I don't know if anybody. Keith Gavin seems to have some issues being sure of where he needs to be.
He was lost in the shuffle too. Clearly, Blackman in his first game found a lot of comfort in 18. So he said, you know what, this guy's on a roll, and I'm not going to, try and fix something that's not broken here. Let me keep going back to him.
One thing, and I really just want to see this happen. Some of the things that you feel like you've got a little bit more control of, and I know we're hyper-focused on the real little things or some of the smaller details of the game when you lose a game by 6 points at home, where any one thing, if you had cleaned it up, could have made a difference. If you had more timeouts at the end of the game because your guys got lined up properly, for example, you might have had the time to have the ball back and go down and win the game. Those kinds of things that catch up with you over the course of a contest, they got to clean that up. You got to give yourself a chance. When you're a dominant team, because there's a misnomer out there. You'll hear fans talk about how, your great teams are disciplined and you don't see this kind of Mickey Mouse nonsense with the penalties. Yeah, you do. A lot of really dominant teams lead the country in committing penalties, whether it's those dominant Southern Cal teams or Florida State or Florida when they were great, or any of the teams that you can think of, Miami, that were really, really, really good, like all-time great good, national champions good. Oftentimes they were towards the top of the heap in committing penalties. It's just that they had the talent and an overwhelming advantage at that to overcome those situations. But you lose that margin for error when you're not overwhelmingly better than everybody else. And when you're inexperienced, it can come back to really not just bite you and cause you to lose a game, but what it does is possession by possession, it sets you up to be behind the chains. And you're asking now a freshman to deal with that?
Well, yeah, to me, you have a true freshman quarterback this weekend, and he's not the reason that you come up short. And what worries me about the offense, and frankly, the way I'm looking at it right now, I think this is a really, really important, not just week. I think the storyline of how this offense looks without its number one receiver, if Auden Tate's out for a little while. Okay. That you have a true freshman quarterback taking snaps should have no bearing on the receivers not being able to line up correctly. Should have zero bearing. That you have a true freshman quarterback should have little to nothing to do with repeated false starts. Maybe once for a snap count issue because he's not used to the cadence or something like that, but it should have no bearing for repeated false start problems. It should have no bearing on getting situational issues wrong. Having to call timeouts or managing the clock incorrectly. It should have no bearing on the way you call a game and with or without balance in certain moments.
Having a freshman quarterback definitely has a bearing on how you call the game.
Well,
but I understand your point. You're talking about on balance.
I'm talking about running versus passing.
Right.
It shouldn't. Okay, you shouldn't call the game. Let me rephrase it then. You shouldn't call the game with a run-pass split with a true freshman quarterback the way that it was called this weekend. I don't think I'm the only one who in the first half of this game said, well, this looks like an interesting game plan given what we have and what we're working with here.
Yes, I agree with you. I'm going to be put in that position to once again defend him a little bit, and I don't usually do this when it comes to imbalance. You know how I am on this. Partly those RPOs that he's now incorporating, that is not wrong to cite those. Those are run-pass options. You take what they give you there. We've clamored for him to incorporate more of those, so we can't get mad that he did, especially if he's then going to use them to defend himself and say, now, wait a minute, we had run-pass options called there, so it's not just a straight pass.
Sure, and there's one that Blackman throws that I don't know why the hell he throws
I don't either. So there's that. But the second thing I'll say about that is, given who they were up against, a lot of teams, we said it going into the game last year, fairly early on figured out you can't run the ball against them effectively, consistently. And so a lot of teams chose to throw the ball a lot. Ideally, you're not starting with two of the better defensive lines in the country that you're facing. So we would maybe see more balance if this schedule had played out a little differently. We'll see. How does he call it against Wake? Let's find out.
I'll disagree slightly on that one, but okay, just strike that one then for the moment. So receivers lining up.
No. All the other ones
penalties.
I'm all in on. I'm fine with
How
that.
about not paying extra attention to their number one defensive lineman at any point
during
the game?
No, didn't chip him at all, and I don't know how that happened, and I'm not sure. I'm sure he laments that because that's crazy. He even told the broadcast team that they were going to wear his ribs out.
You're detail poor. You know what? You're not helping the kid out in any way. You're not helping him.
Right.
So for me, moving forward, a lot of the old issues are cropping up, and after a while, it's not the position coach's fault. It's not the offensive lineman's fault for continually false starting. I mean, it's been Zebri Sanders. It's been Cam Irving. It's now been Derek Kelly. It's been guards at times over the years. Come on now. Listen, you've got to run a tighter ship with a true freshman at quarterback, and that's the frustrating part.
I'm amazed that I'm sitting here thinking to myself today at the end of the teleconference, Jimbo Fisher, Dabo Sweeney, and all the other coaches on that call, right? And I can't help but think that guy has kind of totally flipped things to where Clemson's the envy of the ACC. They're the most consistent program in the conference. They have us just absolutely livid by what we see around here. And then today, and I'll tell you what he said in a moment, today he adds to the likability factor. Where you're going, well, this is ridiculous. Dabo Sweeney at the end of this conversation regarding the ACC and Florida State in a second. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Landowners, Mahindra's inventory clearance sale is going on now. We're reducing prices like never before on the toughest utility vehicles on earth. Like a Mahindra XTV 750S as low as $135 a month. Or get up to $3,450 in cash back and savings. Plus, Mahindra's 3-year limited powertrain warranty comes standard.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin, Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
E plus.
E plus? Is that like A plus?
It's better. The E stands for easy.
Easy plus?
Yep. Easy ways to save energy, water, and money from the City of Tallahassee Utilities. Your own utilities. The City of Tallahassee Utilities has created easy ways to monitor your account with E plus online. We can pay online, we can check our balance online, compare usage history online, and even take a free online energy audit.
And I see the City of Tallahassee Utilities has created a new smart bill. Once we enroll, we do everything online. Billing, paying, everything. What a time saver. Not to mention saving energy, water, and money.
And when we download the City of Tallahassee Utilities Digitally smartphone app, we can do everything on our phone. Pretty incredible.
Plus, there are new authorized payment locations, like some local gas stations, grocery stores, other city departments, and more.
We can even go to the Renaissance Center at 435 North Macomb Street to pay our bill.
Wow. The E really does stand for easy, doesn't it?
It sure does. E Plus from the City of Tallahassee Utilities. Your own utilities.
Football is here, Tallahassee, and if you're not watching the games at Tallahassee's favorite hangout, the Fourth Quarter Bar and Grill on North Monroe Street, you're missing out. With over 28 TVs, you'll never miss a second of the action. Kick your week off with Monday Night Football, where you'll get 2-for-1 wells, calls, and drafts all night long. Then there's Tuesday Night Trivia with Professor Jimmy. Go win yourself some money. What about lunch? Weekdays, pick from over 20 menu items for just $7.50, including a drink. What you doing for Thursday Night Football? How about the Fourth Quarter, where you'll get $2.25 domestic drafts, $2.75 domestic bottles, and $4 Jaeger bombs. No weekend would be complete without Bubbles and Brunch. From 7 a.m. to 2 p.m., get all the mimosas and Bloody Marys you can drink and a breakfast for $18.99. Can you say Uber? Knowles, Bucks, Jags, or Finns, no matter who your favorite team is, take it to 2033 North Monroe Street and watch them at Tallahassee's favorite football hangout, the Fourth Quarter Bar and Grill.
Hi, Chris Kraft for Kraft Nissan. In Tallahassee, thank you for your help. Our end of the month number is down to 54 new Nissans in the next 6 days, so let the countdown begin. Seriously, for 6 more days through Monday, October 2nd, and we will be open this Sunday, we have huge post-storm offers we may never see again. Plus, I've told you that September is the close of our biggest quarter, and Kraft Nissan is poised to hit our largest dealer bonus ever. You know me. I believe in sharing that money with you. We hit our number, you save thousands below invoice, and we both win. Even better, we hit 54 more new Nissans, and Kraft Nissan will donate an additional $7,500 to the Capital Area Red Cross. That's in addition to the $5,000 we gave earlier this month. And to help us hit our numbers, all Rogues in stock are $4,000 off MSRP. All Altimas in stock are $6,000 off MSRP, and I've got over 150 to choose from. I'm telling you, Kraft Nissan will seriously entertain all offers, and you will save an additional $2,000, $3,000, even $5,000 during these 6 final days of Nissan's hurricane relief incentives. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco.
Can't decide between fresh steak, seafood, or wings? Well, Miller's Ale House on Appalachia Parkway has it all. From center-cut sirloin and original pastas to fresh salads and favorites like Miller's Signature Zingers, tossed in your favorite sauce. Miller's Ale House has a full-service bar featuring more than 75 beers, plus wine and liquors. Bring the family to watch the big game inside or on their covered patio on one of over 60 HD TVs. However you come to relax, you will have a good time and great food at Miller's Ale House on Appalachia Parkway.
You're locked in with the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Cameron Show 97.9 ESPN Radio. Cricket. Think the attention to details will be ironed out after all of that?
No.
What, 7 years of them not being worked out has somehow persuaded you to believe that this Saturday all would not be remedied in that regard?
No, yeah, pretty much.
Dabo Sweeney was asked about the strength of the ACC, and Sweeney said, even though the Seminoles are 0-2, he still believes they're one of the best teams in the country, and he thinks that the rest of the country will see that before the season's end. This guy. Man. Pity from our rivals.
But anyways, wonderful win for us. We're happy. We were very fortunate. We know that. They're a good team that continues not playing very well when they play us for some reason.
Yeah, and that's exactly what that is, and that was my point. And if it's not, he blew an opportunity, and he's genuinely the nicest human being on earth. But that's what you do if you're him. That's what you do. No, I mean that. I would want my coach to do that to them. Well, I don't, that Clemson team, when you look at them in film, they're very, very talented. I suspect by season's end, you'll see that come forth. There's a couple of tough losses to start the year.
Seems there's always a game or two that crops up on them every year.
Yeah,
but it's a tough league.
But it's a great lineup. You'll see.
Well, I mean, and they always do a great job recruiting down there, but it's a tough league.
Tough league, yeah. No, I hope that's not the start of where we're at, because that's a hell of a thing. That's a hell of a place to have gotten to, right?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. I was we called timeout over here because Matthew was not lined up correctly at the right workstation.
No, but it cracks me up. When I read that, I went, "Oh, is that what we're doing around here? Is that how this is where we're at now?" My man's going to throw out they are, even though they're 0-2. Tom, I think, honestly, I believe they're one of the best teams in the country. Immensely talented. By season's end, I'm sure everybody will see that. I don't, a couple tough losses there early. I think you'll see. Wow. Urban taking a knee at halftime, up only 17.
Oh, it's not that level, but yeah, it's getting there.
All 3 timeouts at the 50. Go ahead and take a knee, fellas. They're no threat.
Jimbo runs one of the best offenses in all of college football. I mean, look at the numbers they've put up in his time there. I can understand why they have to call so many timeouts, because I'm sure it has to be so complex. It just trips everybody up over the years. And I'm serious. He puts people in the league. Look at it. It's a fact. So I can understand why they need to burn timeouts.
He's not getting into that. He's not going to do that. That would be direct shots then. Yeah, no, but he is passive-aggressive. That's well done, Dabo. Really well done.
There was a time when I just thought it was Rodney Smith. And Rodney, it wasn't you, man. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Rodney. It's my fault. It's my fault.
Well, in truth, there was a time where it did work itself out. But Jameis Winston ain't walking through that door anytime soon. And because of that, now maybe some of the other guys and some of the other elements of what we call do and don't execute consistently may have to change. I said at the start of the week when we were having this discussion, back on a serious tip for a moment, he's got to be sort of looking in the mirror a little bit. Jimbo is hard on himself. He self-scouts. I know you hear that, you roll your eyes and say, well, then how come? I'm just saying he's really obviously very, very smart. There's no way he looks at that film and can quite obviously see the things that we're talking about and doesn't think, well, what am I doing wrong? What are we doing wrong as a staff? Why isn't this working? Why aren't we communicating this well enough? I mean, he's falling back right now because this is what coaches do, and I wouldn't expect that he would do this in any other way. But I think even the way that he's saying these things and the consistency with which he's saying these things tells me that, again, he's wrestling with some things in his head. He threw around control what you can control a bunch again today and talked about clutter. And just he's not going to answer the stuff that people want answered, but I don't expect him to, and I don't think there are too many coaches that are going to sit up there and go, well, now that I've thought about it a little bit more, we're going to remove certain elements of the playbook because I'm not sure my guys are ready to handle that just yet. He's not going to do whatever it is fans want him to do there. He's not going to do that. Yeah, but I'm sure those meetings aren't pleasant right now.
Yeah, I don't know why in the middle of the first segment of this hour, it just really rose to the top inside, but the cliche about we're not running it until we do it right. We run it until we can't do it wrong. And I just think about that, and then I think about this montage I have going on in my mind of all the timeouts and just screaming down receivers over the years and Dawsey and everybody for not lining up the right way. And then they go to commercial break and they come back and here we go. Okay, maybe we can run a play now. At some point you have to self-scout where use that mantra. You can't run it consistently right, and the players change. Well, what are we doing, man? I mean, are there too many concepts that people have to command here? Because, again, the playbook you would think shrinks down with a true freshman quarterback, where there's less things to command. But they're not helping the kid. Nobody helped the kid this weekend except for Auden Tate.
Auden Tate did, yeah. I thought the offensive line played well in the first half. I think the offensive line...
First half, yes.
Yeah, I think the second half the offensive line was bad, but I thought the first half the offensive line played well. It was a bad day. I mean, Jimbo didn't have a good day. He was bad. The offensive line in the second half, bad. I thought, obviously, from a play calling standpoint, the officials were bad. The layoff didn't help anybody.
Hurt too,
I mean, there were a lot of things that, other than Auden Tate's play, and frankly, you have to say bravo and kudos to special teams, because across the board, save for the one miss, which at the time he missed, it was a big miss. That you'd like to make that kick from 30 freaking yards, but
never miss 30 yards.
That's right. Certainly 9 out of 10 ought to be right down the middle. But he did go on to go 4 of 5 and give you a chance. So and played well, kicked well. You know, all that was there. It was okay. And Logan punted his ass off. They did a good job. We had returns in this game. We covered well. So special teams, as bad as they were against Alabama, was as good as they were against NC State. They were very good. That got cleaned up. If you carry that over here against Wake, if you block the way you did in the first half against NC State, things are going to be okay. They're going to be all right this weekend. And then maybe all of these gripes and complaints, they'll still exist. They'll be omnipresent. We'll be watching very closely, as you should. But a win helps kind of remind you of the good things that are in place too. And he's got to get him going. He's got to get him on a roll. You know, I'm being, Uncle Jeff here a little bit. But it's true. I think they got to get a little bit into a rhythm. They have not played. It's been a herky-jerky sort of start to all of this. Playing back-to-back games for the first time this year, a week apart, is a really good thing. I do. I think you'll start to see some things emerge that we haven't seen, and they'll start, they'll start to define who they are a little bit better. And Jimbo will play to that. He'll play to those strengths when he can identify them when we get into some sort of rhythm.
It's what you're left with.
Well, I think that's true, though, don't you? I don't think it's a reach. They're not going to lose all their games, Tom. They're going to play all right. At some point, he's going to be able to latch on to some things.
I'm not a defeatist about this weekend. I think they'll be just fine this weekend, but I don't know how much that tells us. That's one thing.
No, just get a win and start feeling a little bit different about yourself, and it influences everything you do the next day, the next hour, the next week. Yeah,
the players have to flush everything. I get that, but for us, we can sit back and reflect on the fact that we had championship/playoff aspirations.
Well, the Miami game will be the next time that you can decide exactly what we think about this year, this team, this program, and its current state.
Yeah,
it won't be this weekend. This weekend will just be this weekend, but it will be if you lose to Miami the following weekend and you're 1-3. Yeah. Well, this is gonna be a rough go. Things will get uncomfortable for him.
The hard part is I think what we would have predicted, what we did predict, let's say, which was a victory either way. You said cover. I said no cover, but a couple of scores.
I thought they'd win big. Yeah.
If you could have known the performance that James Blackman would have turned in, you would have stayed with your pick or picked the Noles by more.
Probably but the reason I picked him was I thought he'd play well. He did play well.
Right. But then all the other elements are that's the hard part is.
If you had told me my freshman quarterback was going to play well against NC State and that my special teams was going to get cleaned up and be the star of the show, it would have been hard for me not to pick us to win. But Charles Kelly's defense let us down terribly.
And the details in the offense let us down too.
Yeah, no, they weren't good. But you're allowed to make stops early in a game so that you're not playing from behind every freaking week.
You're also allowed to score touchdowns in the red zone.
No doubt. The 1 of 6 will hurt your feelings. That's not good. He talked about that. But let's not think that in the past they haven't been great in the red zone. They have.
They have.
So
at times.
No, they've done some really good things. Even in years not named Jameis at quarterback, they've had some good red zone years, real good. So it's not always been that way. That hasn't been a hallmark of the offense.
Last time I spin around this same circle and say the same thing in a different way. You just wish that, if the other things that you fear the most are going to be fine, that you wouldn't get let down by what you consider to be
I
pillars.
agree with that. That's very, very troublesome. And it's why most of my ire currently is hyper-focused on the defense. You got studs everywhere, and yet there are times they look absolutely confused. They don't trigger. They don't play like a team that's confident in understanding, believing, knowing what they're doing is right. You don't see it. They did against Alabama. Part of that was, I think, earlier on they realized Jalen Hurts can't throw the football, not with any degree of consistency. and they had to hyper-focus on shutting down a very physical Alabama running game. And then to do that, you got to man up. You got to strap it up and stick your head in there. And they did that, and they were rewarded for it. They stayed in the game despite the mistakes on special teams. They were in that game. And so you thought that would carry over. The fact that it didn't against a guy that can actually throw the football a little bit is scary. That has me concerned. Now, Wake is running this zone read stuff that's, probably plays into Florida State's hand this weekend. They ought to dominate this game.
Now, damn it, that's what you're saying.
Yeah, they ought to dominate this game. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Landowners, Mahindra's inventory clearance sale is going on now. We're reducing prices like never before on the toughest utility vehicles on earth. Like a Mahindra XTV 750S as low as $135 a month. Or get up to $3,450 in cash back and savings. Plus, Mahindra's 3-year limited powertrain warranty comes standard.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my poor truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Up at school right when they need it.
At Whole Foods Market, we believe in real food. Food that's full of nutrients. Naturally vivid and colorful, fresh and delicious. Food that connects you to your body, to the seasons, and to the natural world. We believe food should nourish you and help you think. It should help you feel calm, clear-headed, and strong. It should help you do more, sleep better, and wake up happier. That's food that lives up to its name. We believe in real food. Whole Foods Market.
Yo, where the hell are you? Dude, I'm here, sitting at the bar. Where are you? The hell you are? I've been here for 30 minutes. Erroneous. BS. I've been sitting at this bar for 3 hours drinking pecan whiskey. We said Pensacola, dude. Why would we meet there? We're old men, and that's for the kids. Hashtag Northsiders. Did you just hashtag me? Hashtag hell yes. See you in 30. Get the mahi and a beer.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Sports are defined by stats and performance, but here's a performance stat that no one wants to talk about. Erectile dysfunction affects half of all men over 40. That's 50%. If you're struggling with ED and other therapies haven't worked, isn't it time to feel like yourself again? Learn about a long-lasting ED solution from Coloplast to get back in the game. Visit Dr. DeLay at Advanced Urology Institute, located at 2000 Centerpoint Boulevard, or call their office and set up an appointment today. 850-702-0894. The sooner you seek treatment, the sooner you can get back to feeling like your normal self. That's 850-702-0894.
Football season is in full swing, and so is AAA One Transmission. AAA One Transmission is locally owned and operated by Tim Pridgett, who's been servicing the Tallahassee area for over 37 years. Brakes, transmissions, electrical systems, tune-ups, and battery checks. No matter what ails your vehicle, AAA One Transmission can make your automobile healthy again. Don't put off your auto repairs. Stop it at 1023 North Monroe Street or call them at 222-2532.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac is back at it, supporting the High School Scholar Athlete of the Month on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Listen every Wednesday to hear our monthly winners. Check them out at Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMCCadillac.com.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Here's what's happening. Amid the federal investigation into fraud and corruption in college basketball recruiting, Louisville's place coach Rick Pitino and athletic director Tom Jurich on administrative leave. Pitino's attorney told the Louisville Courier-Journal he's been effectively fired. This scandal should be a tipping point for how the NCAA is run, in the opinion of ESPN's Dick Vitale.
And it's about time we do something about all of this. We need a czar. We need somebody in charge, a command, a guy that can take charge, representing college basketball when the rumors come down, to do something about it. I am upset, frustrated, and disgusted to hear all what I'm hearing now. It's a shame. It's fleacy. It's no good.
NFL Colts coach Chuck Pagano says QB Andrew Luck will not practice this week. The team hopes to integrate Luck, who's coming off shoulder surgery, into practice next week. Baseball, Twins wrap up an AL wildcard spot and will play in the postseason for the first time since 2010 with a win tonight against the Indians or an Angels loss to the White Sox. Minnesota at Cleveland at 6:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
It's official. Weekends are now reserved for football. So come watch it at B-Dubs with other fans who are all there for the same reason, to watch sports. In a place packed with roaring fans and a vast menu of food. It's built for fans. It's home for football. It's Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. 3-year-old Clark used to jump on the couch to this and just jump up and down crazily.
Man, his taste in music and
he's a metalhead, man.
His affinity for contact, physical contact in sports.
It's insane.
That's a hell of a combination moving forward.
His two things he loves, so people who listen to this show know that I can listen to anything from classical music to Slayer to whatever, Outkast, right? So we're all over the place. And so I try to provide for them Americana, whatever it might be, just a little bit of everything. And he has, from the very beginning, always showed a leaning towards the extreme, or at least the high energy. So he, for example, I played Aquemini by Outkast for him, but a clean version. And he was like, "Can we play that whole album?" I'm like, "Well, no, we can't.
No,
I'd love to because it's a great record, but I can't do that." And then, but he wants to hear it, you know. And I played certain Tribe Called Quest songs. There's things he wants to hear, right? And then I've played metal, Slayer, whatever it might be, and he loves it. So when he gets in the car, it's always an argument. Because Bryce, a little bit more nuanced, all over the map about any number. He likes like 50s, 40s, and 50s music. He'll listen to anything like that. But Clark goes, "Dad, throw on." What was it he said the other day? "Dad, can you put on what was that thing we were listening to that time?" And I go, "What thing?" And he goes, "Well, it was older, like 80s, but you know they're talking about taking over." And I go, "Oh, Iron Maiden." He's like, "Yeah, can you put Iron Maiden on, please?" The first thing he asked for when he got in the car. I was like, that's so awesome. He loves the stories, you know, like the sweeping epics.
He's going to love jazz by the time he's in his 20s.
He might.
He's going to flip. You watch, but through high school, hell yeah.
I played jazz for both of them, and they don't get it. Neither one of them get it. Jazz is hard. It's
That's
an acquired
hard,
taste.
man.
It takes it's the classic notes behind the notes. It's a very hard thing to do.
Yes.
You play around things. It's very, very difficult.
Where I got used to it was WUSF down in Tampa, 89.7 plays jazz at nights. And so I used to leave it on while I was doing my homework, and then that's when I finally started to understand
hard.
it.
Also, that's a rabbit hole you can go down. If you start to get into jazz, which I love, but you will be into jazz for a long period of time where you explore what led to this. What I'm listening to currently, how did we get here? Oh, this existed? Oh, okay, so now I'll go here, and there's Charlie Parker, and now I'm going to go here, and then you start.
Yeah.
This is where oh, my God, you could spend –
No, I mean
years.
For me, jazz and classical are the two best to do work with. It's just that they're the busiest.
I actually can't work to classical.
Really?
Yeah, distracts me. Oddly, not jazz. Jazz doesn't. I love jazz to work to, but classical bothers me to do work to. And I like classical.
Well, like orchestral classical?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's curious. Okay.
Yeah. Let's do our punch card thing here. Have some fun with it. Cue it up.
Count 'em up, pour 'em out.
I'll just have a cup of coffee.
There it is. It's Beer 30, brought to you by the 7th Hill Tap Room on Appalachia Parkway.
Proverbial punch cards as you use those to say goodbye to work for the day and perhaps partake in a delicious beer. Presented by our fine friends at 7th Hill Tap Room on Appalachia Parkway. And, hey, so, I was looking at this. It's, well, this weekend there's a side special. Let's just do that. You're going to tell them about whatever's going on Wednesday?
Well, yeah, it's State Worker Wednesday, yes.
Yeah, which is always cool. Enjoy the FSU Wake Forest Game Day Special. We're going out of order here, but I'm doing this now because I want to get it out there. FSU Wake Forest Game Day Special at a great price. Enjoy food and a beverage, a wing buffet provided by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill upstairs, and a $15 self-service tap card, all for just $25.
That's not bad right there.
It's a good deal.
Especially considering the self-service tap card is essentially, people like to do the flight decks. You can do a flight deck all damn day up and down the 14 self-serve taps with a $15 self-service tap card.
All day.
It's State Worker Wednesday, $1 off drafts for all state workers and employees, as well as teachers on a beautiful Wednesday at the 7th Hill Tap Room. And it also, from 7 p.m. to close, is another day where if you join the 7th Hill Cup Club, you get $1 off all drafts. 7 p.m. to close, Monday through Wednesday, also all day Saturday. It could be used in conjunction with the special they have with the wing buffet.
Paying for itself. Our thanks to our friends at the 7th Hill Tap Room, right underneath Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, where you can always find the newest and freshest Florida craft beer. Good times.
Are you as exasperated as I am? I feel like I'm the one that's on the lower end today. I'm just, I'm at wit's end a little bit.
I think I was there on Saturday night, Sunday morning.
See, I was fine Monday. I was okay yesterday. Today, it just, I don't know why. The more I think about it, the more I get mad.
I just think you're anxious. I think you're very, very anxious. I think a lot, that best describes the fan base as a whole right now. I think a lot of people are anxious because here's the thing. There's been enough success in the Jimbo Fisher era that, you're not throwing the baby out with the bathwater here. I mean, you lose a couple of games or you have a bad season. And you're able to pinpoint some examples. Last year you started a redshirt freshman. Year before that, what a nightmare. But you were destined to come down after winning 29 straight games and a national title and all that stuff. So you accepted that year in which you lost 3 games. The following year you thought, okay, well, it's not ideal to have to start a redshirt freshman, but we did. We lost 3 games. That's unfortunate. But there were some real ugly things involved in that season, which include, again, some absolutely absurd efforts on defense that saw points given up left and right. Just didn't represent Florida State football very well. The Showtime show didn't help matters. It seemed like it was a kind of a convoluted, disjointed disconnect going on there. And that caused you to raise an eyebrow. But you still didn't freak out. You just thought, okay, listen, don't be that guy. We've had a real good run here. He's recruiting exceptionally well. Even our bad season is a 10-win campaign that sees us defeating Michigan in an exhilarating Orange Bowl. All right. And then you thought this year you start with Alabama, that even if you lose that game, the prospects for a very good season still remained. But then it all went sideways. The offense is not good in that Alabama game, which bothers you. You lose your starting quarterback. The special teams are a nightmare. So some of the details plague you in the moment. And the details have been things that, if that's probably my biggest complaint. If somebody said, What's something that really bothers you about a Jimbo Fisher coach team at Florida State? The little things he's had a hard time getting a handle on. Not the big things. He's done the big things real well. It's the little things that he's had a hard time with. And some years are better than others. But, clock management has never been great here with him. Fourth down, the fourth, when to go for it, when not to go for it. He hasn't handled that real well.
In his defense, I'll play the role, but in this game, he did go for it on a key fourth down that led to a scoring drive, and that was really necessary in the flow of the game. It was 10-0, and he decides to go for it on fourth down.
It was fairly obvious there, though. There was no way you could not go for it.
But it was closer to the 40 than it was the 30-yard line.
Maybe he's starting to figure that out, but it hasn't been his calling card. He has struggled with that, right, with the percentages and understanding why it doesn't do you any good there to, in certain situations not to go for it. And he hasn't done well with that. The receivers not being lined up consistently. Okay, you say, well, that's Lawrence Dossey's fault. Well, Lawrence Dossey's been here forever. That's his guy, and he's willing to accept that weakness in him because he does other things very well. At least that's what I believe Jimbo Fisher would tell you. So these are things that bother you. Corey is always pointing out, Corey Clark of the Tallahassee Democrat, and I think he's right about this. Boy, Jimbo, he will not take a 5-yard delay a game penalty. You got to call a timeout at every one of those? You may need to just eat the 5 yards on occasion. He's right about that. Bothers me. You let it go, man. Survive and advance. Let's move on. It's 2nd and 15. Okay.
Handle it in the first half. To me, it's not a critical issue in the first half, but if it's in the second half, that's inexcusable.
You kind of got to handle. So the little things that all add up eventually to a big thing bother you. And, so I got you with that. But when you lose 3 games 2 years in a row and you begin this year 0-2, and you had some of those factors that we were just alluding to, and it's on the mind of even the most diehard, loyal backer of Coach Fisher and his staff, then they begin to get a little antsy. See, it's not the fringe element of the fan base who watches these games. Either, I say this all the time, that in this job I've had to learn, you've got the people that are going to be mad about everything all the time. That's just how they handle being a fan in general. They're just angry. And it takes, short of blowing everybody out by 50 and winning the national title, they're just not happy. And even then, if you go back and check their emails over the course of the year, I'm sure they complained about a ton of things while you were steady beating people's asses by 35 points. So I kind of largely ignore that fringe element. Then there's the other side. Loyal, blind, myopic to the point that that person, that staff, their team can do no wrong ever. Lose a game in which you were favored by 21 points. Things happen. Happens to everybody. Let it go. Why are you so angry?
Don't criticize the coaches or players. They're us.
They're trying hard. They're Knowles. Why are you so critical?
We're all the same team.
Yeah, right. So there's that, right? You can't criticize that. You can't complain about that. Can't say, man, they're not getting enough out of guys. They do a great job of recruiting, but we got to play up to our capabilities. That's frustrating. Why are we in the midst of a whatever, right? So I ignore those people who refuse to see issues. And then the vast majority of the fan base is in between all of that. I'd say about 80% of the fans are that. So I'd say 10% on either end of the extremes there, and 80% right there in the middle that, hey, they may disagree about what they're seeing, but by and large they're like, okay, I'm not going to lose it. There are bigger things in the world than losing a football game. I'm not going to lose it after this. And I'm also not going to posit that we're the greatest thing since sliced bread when we win a big game either, because I know sometimes it doesn't work out for you. So, hey, take it all in stride and let's move forward. When those people begin to say, man, I'm not so sure that this is what I thought it was. I think there's some things that have crept in here that have me greatly concerned about the direction of the program. And they have that conversation rationally while acknowledging the good to go with the bad. I think when you start 0-2, that's where you find that group. They're a little uneasy on the heels of a 3-loss year that saw the 60-plus points given up to Louisville, that saw the Showtime special, or again the promissory notes, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're dealing with 14-8 in your last 22 games, 11-6 in the ACC post Jameis. That's middling, man. That's not very good. And
that's NC State land, independent of what just happened with them.
That's just not very good. So, and that really can't be argued. That's not something that's up for debate. When you have a top 5 recruiting class for however many years in a row and you're 14-8 in your last 22, that's not getting it done. It's just not. So you can argue about why you think that is or what the individual circumstances were that led to that. But most people would tell you, look, man, I work for a living. I go over here, I do my job, I raise my family, I'm here, I'm there. I go to watch this game, I give money to the program, and I just want us to reach our potential, to play to expectations of elite recruiting class and investment in money from boosters and facilities are great. We got to play to that level. I get we're not going to win the national championship every year. I get hell these days we're not going to win the ACC every year because there's another player in town now. But we ought to at least be able to do this. And they're not wrong. They're not wrong. And when you start messing with those people, the more level-headed folk, and they start getting concerned, the conversation then really begins to shift. And I'm not saying it's there, but it's close. I mean, it's
right. It's not happening this weekend.
No, but if they lost this weekend, and that's a big if, they're not going to. I don't think they are either. But if it happened, that group that's normally level-headed will cease to be level-headed.
Buddy, don't mess around and look bad in a loss to Miami. Independent of what happens this weekend. Don't mess around and look bad in a loss to Miami, even though that would be his first.
Well, and let's just once again clarify this. First of all, I'm not calling for anybody to be fired. I've done that before, and when the time's right, I'll do it again when necessary. Hopefully it's not. Secondly, I think that there's no question that no matter what happens this year, there is 0% chance that the head coach is going anywhere. Unless it's by choice, unless he chooses to leave. So that's not on the table. That's not what we're talking about here. That contract is such, that's not happening. What could happen, and what a lot of people want to see happen more than anything else, more than they want anything else, is they want an overhaul, a new set of eyes brought in here at several places, positions, whether that's defense coordinator, offensive line coach, receiver coach, linebacker coach, special teams. I think that a lot of people, no matter what happens the rest of the year, would like to see that happen independent. They could go on and win the rest of their games. I think enough people would be of the belief now we need to make some changes.
Yes, because of the way last season finished, fool me once,
Right.
For those people that gave the chance. A lot of people in that group of 80% did not, though. There are many in that group of 80% who said, nah, I like that we finished this way. But let's go.
But yeah.
Let's get what they're getting.
Oh, yeah, and I was with them. I would have made a couple changes. At least a couple. Final hour, forthcoming. Stay with.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Landowners, Mahindra's inventory clearance sale is going on now. We're reducing prices like never before on the toughest utility vehicles on earth. Like a Mahindra XTV 750S as low as $135 a month. Or get up to $3,450 in cash back and savings. Plus, Mahindra's 3-year limited powertrain warranty comes standard.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my poor truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
So, when the Knowles hit the road, join us at Miller's Ale House on the Parkway, the official FSU watch party headquarters of your home of the best in Seminole sports talk. 97.9 ESPN Radio, Tallahassee's Sports Authority.
Miller's Tree Service. We go out on a limb for you.
Hey, this is Clay Culpepper with Miller's Tree Service. Summertime is here and storm season is right around the corner. We offer free consultations with a certified arborist where we meet with you and advise you on which trees are healthy, diseased, dead, or ones that may need trimming or even removal.
Miller's Tree Service. We go out on a limb for you.
Give us a call at 894-TREE.
Front Row Knowles with Tom Block and Keith Jones. Brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener. And presented by Hobson Chevrolet of Cairo, Georgia. Wednesday nights at 6 on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Landowners, Mahindra's inventory clearance sale is going on now. We're reducing prices like never before on the toughest tractors on earth. Like a Mahindra E-Max 22 as low as $99 a month, or up to $8,100 in cash back and savings. Only from Mahindra.
North Florida and South Georgia's authorized Mahindra dealer is TNT Super Center, US 19 South in Thomasville, and at TNTSuperCenter.com.
Offer with approved credit. See dealer for details. Program restrictions may apply.
Woohoo! Banditos!
Huh? Where?
Banditos burritos, baby.
Broadcasting live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Here's what's happening. Amid the federal investigation into fraud and corruption in college basketball recruiting, Louisville's place coach Rick Pitino and athletic director Tom Jurich on administrative leave. Pitino's attorney told the Louisville Courier-Journal he's been effectively fired. This scandal should be a tipping point for how the NCAA is run, in the opinion of ESPN's Dick Vitale.
And it's about time we do something about all of this. We need a czar. We need somebody in charge, a command, a guy that can take charge, representing college basketball when the rumors come down, to do something about it. I am upset, frustrated, and disgusted to hear all what I'm hearing now. It's a shame. It's sleazy. It's no good.
NFL Colts coach Chuck Pagano says QB Andrew Luck will not practice this week. The team hopes to integrate Luck, who's coming off shoulder surgery, into practice next week. Baseball, Twins wrap up an AL wildcard spot and will play in the postseason for the first time since 2010 with a win tonight against the Indians or an Angels loss to the White Sox. Minnesota at Cleveland at 6:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
It's official. Weekends are now reserved for football. So come watch it at B-Dubs with other fans who are all there for the same reason, to watch sports. In a place packed with roaring fans and a vast menu of food. It's built for fans. It's home for football. It's Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Final hour of the Jeff Cameron Show, at least 4 today, and a fine balls big Wednesday to you and yours. I'm Jeff, that's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free. Always don't miss anything, but if you do miss something, remember all 3 hours posted every day upon the conclusion of the program, both on iTunes and in our own audio vault, all brought to you with limited commercial interruption. See my man, CarltonDean.com. Email the show if you like, JCS at 979ESPNradio.com. Find me on Twitter at JCameronShow. WTSM app, good for your mobile devices, and you can watch the show being performed on good old YouTube. Go to ESPN Tallahassee on YouTube, and you'll watch us there. As for Auden Tate this weekend on the road against Wake Forest, that's still iffy, Tom. I think last check, still day-to-day is what we're getting.
Yeah, apparently on the coaches show, Jimbo said something about an AC sprain. So those can heal quickly or those can take some time. And given the track record about injuries here and, sometimes they'll take days or weeks, day to day, I wouldn't expect him to play. I think that would be a pleasant surprise if Auden Tate suited up for this game this weekend.
Yeah, I would be very surprised if he played as well. That's frustrating. I will say this. It begins to cause you to kind of watch a little bit closer as to which of the young guys get in there, DJ Matthews or Terry and those kinds of guys. I'm very interested to see whom they tab to play.
Well, and through 2 games, I was about to say 2 weeks, but through 2 games, George Campbell has been there. He's been a presence. He's not been a completely lost in the shuffle player, a unicorn, if you will. So maybe his role increases and Keith Gavin takes the true number 1 role. I don't know what you can count on at a number 8 unless they scheme him open. I don't know that he's going to go consistently make plays for you. So until further notice, I'm looking elsewhere. So hopefully George Campbell is the next answer outside of Gavin at the wide receiver position.
Good for George Campbell, riding out injury after injury after injury to emerge as a guy that could be counted on. It'd be nice to see. Obviously, when you bring in 5-star recruits, you'd like to see him play, and he was a guy that we were all really excited about because the combination of speed and size suggested he could be a dangerous weapon. Now he's getting obviously more and more playing time and in the fold, and he was a guy who, remember, before the season began, at the ACC kickoff was basically, ruled almost out. I mean, the way that Jimbo talked about him suggested that he wasn't going to be ready for the start of the season. And then they had the event for the Kids First Fund over at the IPF, and he was running around holding weights and doing things, and people thought, that's interesting. And then right off the bat, he was there when they put on the pads, began to practice, and he's been involved in the lineup in both the first 2 games. That's good news.
I know it's a road game, but, and it's one at Snuggy Hill, so it's not imposing like, say, going on the road and playing Clemson in November. But for James Blackman and his performance this weekend, do you think it's affected by getting on a plane and going up and playing on the road?
I hope not. I think this is about as timid and tame a road game as you can play. I mean, literally, we have fun at Wake Forest's expense because of how small a school it is, playing big-time Power 5 college football, and how little that stadium is and how indifferent the fans are. If you're going to be rattled by playing at Snuggy Hill, you're going to have a world of hurt as you go on and play some of these venues like, I don't know, the end of the year against Florida or at Clemson. So, even Boston College is a more difficult place to play at times than Wake Forest. I would think that this should not affect him too much. Those fans are indifferent when they're actually beating Florida State.
Yeah, to me, I find it interesting because I think perhaps it might be a better atmosphere for James, because there's expectations that come with playing in front of the home crowd.
Sure, yeah.
So, I mean, perhaps he can play even better or be able to flush the emotions a little bit better. That's one thing. I was worried about him being exhausted. You were talking about how, game speed is different. And for that young man, he's never played at a game speed this fast while most
his
of the defense
emotions were on his sleeve there.
Right, and that can be a good thing, and that may be who he is moving forward.
I think so, yeah.
But I thought some of it was a function of the nerves and the adrenaline of never
playing in
college
before. After he threw that first
before.
touchdown pass, he was very emotional. Good for him, though. It's his first ever touchdown pass in a college game.
There was a drive or two towards the end of the first half where he calmly checked it down, and then he looked to the sideline, got the next play, got it. I don't need a stoic quarterback. This is not what I'm saying at all.
Yeah.
But it's just, if you're going to be a true freshman and you're going to ride the roller coaster, well, then let's be ready for the lows, too, that come with it.
They're still coming this year, Tom, and it wasn't in that game, and that's what's led to most of the frustration, is that the lows you expect out of a freshman really didn't present themselves in this game. There was a skip ball towards the end and a couple of throws that looked like a kid who was hurried and a little a little flustered. But I don't think that by and large his play suggested the nerves and the fears that accompany that with starting a true freshman quarterback. So that's kind of what's led to the extra level of frustration in that loss, is that the thing you thought you could pin it on, you really couldn't. And I don't think he'll show it here either. Maybe against Miami, although that's a 3:30 game now and not a night game. I kept thinking the first big night game of a rivalry or something could get to him. We'll see. We'll see. The bottom line is this. Defensively, you got to go out and dominate this Wake Forest team. They don't have enough weapons. If you shut down this quarterback he basically does everything, leads the team in rushing and obviously passing. This is what he is, their offense. You got to shut this thing down. Make him pay when he runs the football. Tackle well. Come up and challenge somebody. Dominate this game with the better athletes that you have. Jimbo, I would think, is ready to call a good game. Let's get into a rhythm early. Make it simple. Make it easy. Let your athletes make plays. Florida State's a much better team than Wake Forest. Now go out there and play that way. Let's get this first win of the season under our belt. move forward against Miami in a rivalry game. That will kind of dictate the terms of how the rest of the season's going to go. But right now, it's a business trip. It's all the cliches you hear. Go up and win a football game that you should win.
Yeah, to me, the number one thing I'm looking for on defense is the attitude. You know, that was the thing that stood out, and I was so proud of in the moments after the Alabama game and in reflecting upon the Alabama game even weeks away.
Yeah, they matched the intensity. They were there, the physicality, the intensity, all of it.
And they didn't cave in. They didn't give up when the game was over. I mean, it was over for a drive or two in that fourth quarter.
Yeah,
and
they
they
still out there
fought
fighting
for every damn yard.
Yes, they did. And this time around, this last week, they were almost neutered. It was crazy. Back on their heels, a lot of cushion, too many things underneath, just giving up for free. You didn't get a sense that they could attack. There certainly was a sense that they were maybe confused or thinking too much out there. I don't know. I know some things just by going back and watching the game again, but I can't know what they're being told in their meeting rooms. So, those are things that shouldn't happen when you have this kind of talent. I just know that. And let's hope that we see a more aggressive approach this weekend and we see these guys just play. Let that athleticism, let that toughness and the things that got you to Florida State shine. And hopefully, Kelly puts them in a position to do that.
Yeah, exactly. When you're in between, when you're caught in that.
Being in limbo is a bad thing.
Right, like Nate was on the long touchdown pass where I don't know why.
He doesn't need to be out there.
He's biting on a throw to the flat that's covered.
It's over. He can't play.
Marshall has him, but it's just unbelievable. But that says it all for what the defense was on that day. It's like they're trying to do too much. It's like they're trying to do someone else's job. Do your own and do it with passion. And that position actually is curious to me. Whoever your dime back, your money back is going to be on the field, because Hampsa gets beaten man coverage a couple of times early on in his career.
I'd have Hampsa out there anyhow, though.
Just if you're going to mess around,
and go with the more athletic stud freshman and let him learn.
It's just you can tell when a team is caught in between, they can't play with the passion and the fire. But this defense has already shown in game 1 of the season that it has it. It has the passion and the fire, but if you don't see it again, let's say Florida State wins this game, but it's a middling defensive performance, I'm still not going to be singing praises that we've won one football game and we got that at least off the ledger. I'll go back to the idea that and the overhearing of players walking off the field being displeased with what is happening.
They were on Saturday. There were some players on the field defensively showing some emotion that suggests they were a little dissatisfied with not just the loss, but perhaps being put in a position to get beat. And the frustration that you see there is one that can really, unfortunately, infect a locker room. I don't know that that's going to happen. I don't know if it wasn't just the immediacy of the moment and losing a game like that and the way that they did. We'll see. I think that's one of the interesting questions to bring up at the start of this week is, how is the locker room after that loss? I mean, you do have to think for a moment that you began this season, preseason, ranked number 3, playing on the biggest of stages, national television, prime time, against the most consistent program in the country in Alabama, ranked number 1, with an opportunity before you to announce your presence with authority. And you come up short there and you lose your starting quarterback. Okay, all right, that's less than ideal. That's not what you'd wish for. That's tough to take. But there were things you took from that game that you thought, well, that'll translate. We'll be all right. Go win some football games. The nature of that loss against Alabama is not a season-ruining moment. Go home, win your first football game. Then the storm happened, no fault of theirs, but it caused a huge delay, a rescheduling of football games. You don't get to play the game against ULM and get that first win under your belt. You don't get the freshmen an opportunity to play in game speed and work out the kinks. And so those 3 weeks go by. Then you play a football game. You're excited to play it. And, again, lukewarm reception from the crowd because that was not a packed house, but you understand why. And you go out there and lose that game. So what's going on between the ears right now with this team? What's happening in that locker room? Where's their confidence level? Let's hope that they understand that was one game. The set of circumstances dealt at the beginning of the year weren't ideal. Ton of football to be played. Take care of business. Win a football game. See where we go from here. You can gain momentum just as soon as you lost it. Let's go back out there and get that started.
Okay. That's the micro, obviously. Let's just go get this win this week. And
yeah, now listen, if they win this game 10-3 and we roll in here on Monday, yeah, that's going to be a hell of a conversation.
How concerned are you about the macro question? You just got done saying to close out the last hour, you're not calling for any big firing for the program.
Yeah.
But do you think the ingredients are there to at least be very watchful of where the program is going.
Defensively, especially, yes.
You can ask that question and not be saying, well, I think the head coach should be fired. You can rightfully ask the question and say, what course are we on here as a program? Are we progressing or are we regressing as a program? Is the bar being lowered?
Well, we're certainly not progressing currently. I mean, when you come off of a run of 29 straight wins and an appearance in the college football playoff, and before that a national championship, and then you lose 3 games, then you lose 3 more games, now you lost your first 2, nobody could argue that you're progressing. Now, you could also argue it would have been impossible to sustain that level of success. Fine. Sprinkle in a loss or 2. People understand that. But when you lose games to teams you ought not lose to, and we've done some of that, and I've documented it. We don't need to do this again. But when you have better players and you're the better team and you find yourself losing 1 too many games against teams that don't match that level of athleticism and elite talent, it's enough to cause you to raise an eyebrow. It's enough that last year enough people were doing it. I mean, I think even the most reasonable people would tell you there's really nothing this year that would cause almost anybody to say, well, I think they should fire Jimbo Fisher. I think worst-case scenario, say this team lost 5-6 games. Most people, not all, most people would say, well, you got to fire, this coach and this coach and this coach. And if you don't, then it all comes back on you anyhow.
Depending upon if those 5 games are Florida, Miami, you know what I mean? Like, I think you could pencil into Clemson and people, they wouldn't like it, but they could accept that and say, let's make a change to the coordinators. But if you go 0-2 against your rivals this year, because listen, nothing's off the table at this moment. They got to go out and prove something different on Saturday.
I just feel like, Tom, if the talent level dips like it did at Miami for a long time, then the fans sometimes can be irrational in what they think is possible, right? They can be misguided in what they believe is possible. That hasn't been the case here. So when Miami loses 7 times in a row to Florida State as they have, a large chunk of those, they didn't have the better team. They should lose those games. They're not as well coached, and they didn't have as many good players. Suck it. You're not good enough. That's just the way of the world. That's like expecting that if at being at Duke that you think you should beat Florida State every year.
Which is why 14, 15, and 16 are a little bit troubling if you just think about the way that those games were won. But
right.
Yes.
But anyhow, yes. But there were won, and 7 times in a row they've been run.
Yep.
And he's never lost to them ever. So that's a good thing as a head coach. So what I would tell you is, I guess, if you had a dip in talent, then you could understand a dip in expectations. But there hasn't been a dip in talent, and thus the expectations ought not be lowered. So if they lose 3 games, and it surely appears that they're going to, and at the end of this year we say they have now lost 3 games, at least 3 games, 3 years in a row, it becomes a very important year the following season. It becomes a big deal to shake things up, whatever that may look like. That's him telling Charles Kelly or Rick Trickett or Lawrence Dossie or Graham or whomever you want to choose as your guy that you're most angry with. It means the head coach has to change something because things aren't going along swimmingly. That's undeniable at that point. You're not playing to your potential. That's a problem, period. And it's okay for people to be angry about that. When you see teams that don't live up to their expectations or their ability, more importantly, they don't play to their ability, then something's wrong. And I think he would admit that. I'm saying that I think Jimbo Fisher would say that's true. And if he says that's true to himself behind closed doors, then he has to make a change.
Okay, fair enough.
That's where I think we're at currently. That doesn't change anything about the day-to-day discussion and there are games to be played. I feel like at the end of this year, it might be a good idea to shake some things up anyhow, just to do it. We joke about this all the time. It's true, though. In other leagues and in other countries, just for example, in Europe, if you love to follow Premier League or whatever it might be, soccer, you can see some highly successful, consistent coaches thrown out on their ass.
Except at Arsenal, but yeah.
But I'm saying, a lot of times you do, for no other reason than they just feel like they need new blood. You didn't really do anything wrong, but we feel like things have gotten stagnant. We want to switch things up. We can use an infusion of life here. We're going to go with a different guy. I know it's a different sport and a different set of deals, but it happens all over the place. Australia, you look at their sports, people get told to have a good day for no other reason than we would just like to see a change. We'd like to get fresh blood in here and a new set of eyes. Now, listen, again, if you're just tuning in, you're probably, is he calling? No. Nothing's going to happen to Jimbo. Not now. I mean, it would take a disastrous turn of events. Like, they'd have to go. Nothing. He could lose the rest of his games this year. He wouldn't get fired. But, yeah, he could.
Really?
Yeah.
0-11.
I forgot they hadn't won a game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they can't lose to Delaware State.
I think the 5 or 6 loss line at least makes it interesting if you get to that much.
In terms of actually the reality of something being done or the talk of it. The talk of it would be everywhere. The reality is no. They're not going to pay that man $40-something million to walk away. No. He could lose 8 games this year, and he's not. No. That's not happening. That 0% chance that happens. Unless he was caught in some sort of crazy scandal, and I don't think that of the man. So what I'm telling you now is whether people like it or not, that's a different discussion. They could lose to Wake this weekend. They could lose to Miami next weekend. They lose to Duke the weekend after that. They could lose to Louisville, lose to Boston College. I don't know how you'd lose to Syracuse.
You're 0-7 or 0-8 at that point.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
They're not firing him, man.
You go 0-7, 0-8 at Florida State.
No, he would be forced, I think, to fire everybody on his staff.
Well, they'd be fired in the midst of those losses. There would be in-season firings. You have to.
Well, what good does that do? What are you going to do? What are you going to change?
You got to get people in the seats somehow.
I don't think that would. If they're 0, let me tell you something. Fool around and go 1-3 and see what that crowd looks like against Syracuse on the 4th, and what it looks like against Delaware State, and what it looks. I mean,
they'll show up for Louisville and Miami no matter what.
Probably. Oh, Miami for sure.
Yeah. Well, if you're one, okay.
Well, we're doing this thing where we fall off the deep end into the deep end again. They're not going to lose this weekend. This thing is, listen, are they not living up to expectations right now? Can you look back over the last 3 years and be agitated by some things? Yes. I'll entertain the idea of firing a few coaches with you. I got you. I've had that conversation. There are some guys I've thought aren't doing a very good job, and I'd be inclined, if I were the head coach, to let them go. Short of that, I mean, that's about as far as I'm willing to go right now. Let's not act like that guy's record isn't 70-whatever and 18. I mean, he's Yes. I mean, come on now.
But how about his last 22 games? You know what I'm saying?
Right. And that's why we're having the discussion. But let's not ignore all that's happened that's led up to this point.
He's a what have you done for me lately person with the infrastructure of the university. You can be a what have you done for me person when it comes to wins and losses.
No question.
That's the name of the game.
No question. When you're at a program this big, it is all about what have you done for me lately. That's true. And certainly the timing of his belittling of the contributions of many boosters and the millions of dollars that have been poured into the program at his behest, which is what people should do anyhow. That timing could not have been worse for him in that when he did that, he turned around and lost the game to NC State. And so people go, well, I'll tell you what, I'll give more money when you start winning games. No, I get it. But big picture, he wasn't wrong to want more.
I'm not thinking he should be gone either right now, man. But what I am saying is I am concerned for the direction of the program because you have championship/playoff aspirations back-to-back years. And in back-to-back years, you can't hit October 1st on the calendar
without being
before
eliminated.
Those are completely dashed.
Yes.
And last year in resounding fashion.
I am pragmatic. I am a realist. I have said many unpopular thing about legendary coaches in these programs. Legendary coaches where I've questioned whether or not we should move on. In some cases, I didn't question it. I said we need to move on. And that rubs people the wrong way, those coaches the wrong way, their assistants the wrong way, and many fans, alumni, and boosters the wrong way. I got you. So we're not afraid to do it, but we're not there right now with this. We're not. I mean, that's not where we're at. Those of you that email on the regular and tweet and everywhere, any other way to communicate that you calling into the show and talking to Matthew and all that, I got you. Would I make a change on the staff? I would have last year. I would have. I've said that time and again. But we're not taking the next step. Now, talk to me on Monday if we lose to Wake Forest. Maybe then it's a little bit different conversation. Maybe that's the directional change that this show would need in that moment. But as of now, no. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Landowners, Mahindra's inventory clearance sale is going on now. We're reducing prices like never before on the toughest utility vehicles on earth. Like a Mahindra XTV 750S as low as $135 a month. Or get up to $3,450 in cash back and savings. Plus, Mahindra's 3-year limited powertrain warranty comes standard.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
At Parker Brothers, it's quality that builds our quantity. Call us at 656-8112.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
License number CCC 049350.
Hi, Chris Kraft. Tallahassee dodged a bullet with Hurricane Irma, but the majority of Florida was not so lucky. So Kraft Nissan is teaming up with the Capital Area Red Cross. You buy a new car, and we donate $100 to the Red Cross. And Kraft Nissan is guaranteeing a minimum total donation of $5,000. If your vehicle was damaged by the storm, you automatically qualify for Nissan's factory employee pricing A-Plan, which is up to $1,500 under invoice. In addition, you keep all rebates or 0% interest on most models. And Nissan Corporate has just announced no payments for 6 months. That's right, until March. It's Nissan's way of helping our neighbors. Plus, save $6,000 off on all 2017 Altimas in stock. And Kraft Nissan has created a 1-month program called Storm Recovery Sign and Drive. Zero money due at inception. That's right, no money down, nothing. And lease a new Sentra S for just $255 a month, or a 2017 Rogue Sport for only $275 a month. Kraft Nissan, doing our part to keep this Nissan town rolling. But hurry, it all ends October 2nd. Payments based on 36-month lease with approved credit through NMAC, monthly payments plus tax.
Yo, where the hell are you? Dude, I'm here, sitting at the bar. Where are you? The hell you are? I've been here for 30 minutes. Erroneous. BS. I've been sitting at this bar for 3 hours drinking pecan whiskey. We said Pensacola, dude. Why would we meet there? We're old men, and that's for the kids. Hashtag Northsiders. Did you just hashtag me? Hashtag hell yes. See you in 30. Get the mahi and a beer.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
And now, a Sport Clips well-played moment.
Gentlemen, the mind of the human male is a peculiar thing. Every day we walk through a car wash of external stimuli, from the eyeballs to the ear holes, to exotic hot dog smells, to imported energy drinks. So does our mind wander? You bet it does. Wait, what was I saying? Oh yeah, that's why Sport Clips is Sport Clips. They make a haircut memorable, but with as little thought required from us as possible. A great MVP haircut experience with a hot steam towel, massaging shampoo, and sweet, sweet sports on TV. So if that man in the mirror looks like an island castaway, or just has some hair that needs attention, well, you've got this solved because you know Sport Clips. And if you're already looking Sport Clips handsome, well played, sir. Well played.
Sport Clips haircuts. Find a location near you at sportclips.com.
Contact your local CenturyLink retail store to enter for a chance to win the CenturyLink Ultimate Football Fan Experience, which includes a trip to the biggest game of the year. For eligibility and official rules, go to CenturyLinkFanForLife.com/FAQ. CenturyLink, your link to what's next.
You're listening to The Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Interesting. Short segment, short aside. Tiger Woods, I think this might be the first time he's done this. Just a note, although he expressed optimism about a return to competitive golf, acknowledged it's possible he might not ever play again. Quote, I don't know what my future holds. Said that at a press conference at Liberty National in advance of the President's Cup, where he's serving as an assistant U.S. captain. He loves that role, I might say, and that's something I think a while back you would have guessed. The loner that he was and the way that he struggled to get along with other guys when they were fiercely competitive, of course. But, yes, it's a unifying thing when you're playing in the President's Cup. But he loves it.
Yeah, and it didn't look like he really enjoyed playing team golf when he was at the Ryder or the President's Cup. But beyond, his work with the United States team, I mean, he's mentoring Jason Day to some extent. So it's not just about, these team events, but it's also golfers that are currently, and Jason Day will obviously be at the President's Cup, but these are top 10, top 15 golfers in the world that he's having a text or phone, relationship with, where he's giving him pointers.
You think that means, you think that's further evidence, certainly, that a guy has taken a huge step back in his belief as to what's possible for his own career? I mean, I'd say so. That would have been something he wouldn't have even considered ever for half a second in the past. I mean, to me, that lets you know that, find a way to play, it'd be great, but I'm not so sure it's going to happen, and I certainly know I'm more than a tick behind the world's elite currently.
Yeah, it's a signal that the Tiger switch will never be flipped on again, not on the PGA Tour.
Yeah, the maniacal sort of...
Correct. I mean, it could be that, let's say, his back heals up, and in 10 years he wants to break Bernhard Langer's, Champions Tour.
Well, that'd be cool. I think people would like to see that.
That would get incredible ratings.
It would change the Champions Tour forever.
Yes, and that would
much the way that Jack did and Arnie did when they first played on there.
Here's Chris DeMarco on the brink of his first Champions Tour major.
Here comes Tiger.
Wait a minute, Tiger's 8 under on the front side.
Damn it, Tiger!
Yeah.
Please. Overall, I'm very optimistic as to how I'm progressing. Like I said, the pain's gone, but I don't know what my golfing body is going to be. Haven't hit a golf shot yet. That's going to take time to figure out. And figure out what my capabilities are going forward. There's no rush to that, he went on to say. I think it's interesting. I don't know. I'd love to know, and maybe I can find out with the other work that I do. I might be able to find this out. Do you think that it was genuine last time when he was with the Ryder Cup team, and it's been genuine in these moments of team golf where those players that are asked about his presence and his input and his mentoring, that they thoroughly enjoyed it and that they found a different person altogether? I mean, you heard some of those guys say they really thought he was instrumental in helping them.
I believe it's real because I believe Tiger wants to win that event doing what he's doing. And so whatever, personal, whatever switch, like I said a minute ago, whatever switch he turns on in medal play when you're playing for majors and weekend tournaments, I think he buys into the team concept. And so I believe that's 100% genuine because Tiger wants to win whatever he's involved in. I don't think he would have signed up for the Ryder President's Cup if he didn't want to win. So I think that's where yes, absolutely. 100% I believe what the players are saying.
He said this, and this speaks to probably a good frame of mind given the problems he had with the opioids, that, hey, look, I've been out of the game for a while, but the first things was first. I had to get my health organized and just make sure that I'm pain free. Then basically, as I've said before, keep waiting for when my surgeon says it's okay. I've tried to give you guys updates on what I can do and how much I've progressed, and that's all I'm doing currently. I am training. I am getting stronger by the day. I don't have my golf muscles trained, if you will, because obviously I'm not doing anything golf-related currently, but I'm healthier than I have been. That's a good mindset right there. That sounds like maybe he's got it together. I'm rooting for that, man. I thought this was headed towards a disaster.
More likely. Tiger rejoins
like a tragedy.
Yes, well, it was very close.
Yeah.
It was very
close, yeah.
More likely, Tiger returns to the PGA Tour on some level, or Charles Kelly returns to coach the Florida State defense in 2018.
Tiger Woods returns to the PGA Tour.
Wow, that's saying something.
I mean, I'm not rooting for guys to get fired. I just think that, obviously there's just enough evidence there that the inconsistencies are going to plague him, and that's tough to stomach.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Landowners, Mahindra's inventory clearance sale is going on now. We're reducing prices like never before on the toughest tractors on earth. Like a Mahindra Emax 22 as low as $99 a month. Or get up to $8,100 in cash back and savings. Plus, Mahindra's 7-year limited powertrain warranty comes standard.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Is that neon green potion. Right now, your mouth could be tongue bathing in the refreshing citrus kick of Mountain Dew. Instead, it feels like you've been motorboating King Tut's sarcophagus. Show some mercy. Crack open an ice-cold Mountain Dew. You know your mouth wants you to. Do the Dew.
Nothing quite beats authentic Italian food and a Pepsi. Indulge your taste buds and experience all the flavor of Italy right here in Tallahassee. Visit Urban Food Market today, located in the center of Tallahassee. Urban Food Market, proud to serve Pepsi.
Football is here, Tallahassee, and if you're not watching the games at Tallahassee's favorite hangout, the Fourth Quarter Bar and Grill on North Monroe Street, you're missing out. With over 28 TVs, you'll never miss a second of the action. Kick your week off with Monday Night Football, where you'll get 2-for-1 wells, calls, and drafts all night long. Then there's Tuesday Night Trivia with Professor Jimmy. Go win yourself some money. What about lunch? Weekdays, pick from over 20 menu items for just $7.50, including a drink. What you doing for Thursday Night Football? How about the Fourth Quarter, where you'll get 225 domestic drafts, 275 domestic bottles, and $4 Jaeger bombs. No weekend would be complete without Bubbles and Brunch. From 7 a.m. to 2 p.m., get all the mimosas and Bloody Marys you can drink and a breakfast for $18.99. Can you say Uber? Knowles, Bucks, Jags, or Finns, no matter who your favorite team is, take it to 2033 North Monroe Street and watch them at Tallahassee's favorite football hangout, the Fourth Quarter Bar and Grill.
I have known for some time now that some insurance companies are not exactly being truthful with their customers, stating such things as if you do not use one of their approved body shops, they will not guarantee the repairs, or it may cost you more out of pocket. Here at Lisa's Paint and Body Shop, the work we do is guaranteed for as long as you own your vehicle. Lisa's Paint and Body Shop, 385-2665.
License number MP46050.
Might I suggest the chicken taco salad from Bandito's Burritos, my friend?
Can't decide between fresh steak, seafood, or wings? Well, Miller's Ale House on Appalachia Parkway has it all. From center-cut sirloin and original pastas to fresh salads and favorites like Miller's Signature Zingers, tossed in your favorite sauce. Miller's Ale House has a full-service bar featuring more than 75 beers, plus wine and liquors. Bring the family to watch the big game inside or on their covered patio on one of over 60 HD TVs. However you come to relax, you will have a good time and great food at Miller's Ale House on Appalachia Parkway.
Hey, Fido!
Yes, bud?
Hey, have you heard about that Hair of the Dog sports bar?
Yeah, it's all everyone's been barking about. It's Midtown's #1 sports bar with over 50 TVs, burgers, loaded nachos and wings, and a massive bar. Plus, Hair of the Dog is human-friendly, but you gotta keep them on a leash.
Sounds like a great place to watch those human teams play catch.
You mean football? Hair of the Dog Sports Bar, Midtown, North Monroe behind Brugger's. Best drink prices and juiciest burgers in town. Sexy French poodles welcome.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
.97.9 ESPN Radio. Man, have you spent any time, I know it would be an odd thing for you to do, but just maybe happenstance, maybe you kind of fell into it and looked at Altuve's numbers the last few years?
I just know he's a badass. But
golly, like really, like a really big-time badass. Just
pound for pound champion.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Kind of badass.
Yeah, it's nuts. All right, cue it up. Let's do this what's on tap thing here and have some fun with it.
Ready for a cold one? Proof Brewing Company in Railroad Square Art Park presents What's on Tap. So, Jeff, what'll it be?
Probably baseball again tonight. One more night before actually. You know, I've been watching the Vietnam documentary on PBS.
Yeah.
It's just riveting. I taped a lot of them because it's a bit much. If you do it every night, it's a bit much.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little overwhelming.
Yeah.
Really makes you hate people.
Oh, sure.
And government.
Mm-hmm.
Politicians.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of it. It's bad.
On both sides.
It's just not for me, but yeah. I mean, no, it's a toughie. Like
that doesn't apply there? Sorry, that's my fault.
No, I know. It's just a general sort of.
Maybe it doesn't apply ever.
It's just a sort of a. Man, there's some things when you watch that documentary. It's really, really good. It's 10 parts though, and I've been watching it.
I caught part 2 last week. You know, you're supposed to go in order on these things, but I thought to myself, why don't you check PBS? Why don't you check WFSU? And there it is. And I watched about an hour of it. It was talking about the corruption in the South, the Southern government with, obviously its leader, then his brother and his brother's wife, who was, just the bane of the existence of the entire operation there, just going out in front of cameras and saying whatever the hell she wanted and inflamed people's feelings out there. And that doesn't work. So, I called my dad and I said, listen, are you watching this? Because he served over there. I said, because this could be touchy. Either you're not going to watch a minute of it or you're going to
watch all of it, yeah.
Well, he's engrossed.
Yeah.
He's engrossed by the whole thing.
So is my dad, by the way, yeah.
And apparently, now I haven't heard this yet, but he talked to my sister about it for about 2 hours because he's very mum on it's just a
lot of people
time.
who serve there were and are.
But this is opening up the discussion about what's happening over there.
Well,
what did happen over there, I should say.
Here's the important part for me, just as from a history standpoint. You get all sides.
Correct.
And I always find it fascinating, and have always, as somebody who loves history, I've always found it fascinating when you have the American perspective on a war, any war, right? World War II, World War I, whatever. When we're far enough removed from said war, and the passage of time has changed perspective, as it's wont to do, about what happened, why it happened, who was responsible, who's guilty, who's not guilty. And when you're able to do that and also incorporate the worldview and the sum of experiences from the opposition, and to hear the way they viewed American forces, the way they viewed their place in the war, the way they viewed what they were fighting for and why. This documentary does that. And to give you that perspective, as well as with the competing perspective within that country, and then our perspective, but going all the way back to the French prior, and so in totality, you're seeing the long view of the folly in all of this. I mean, it's ridiculous, and it gets you angrier by the second because you're thinking about whether you're thinking about 60,000 lives or you're thinking about the 3 million lives over there. You're just thinking about the amount of human beings that lost their life over nothing.
Right, and, you can watch a World War II documentary. If you spend 3 minutes on History Channel, you're watching some sort of World War II and or, alien thing. But mostly it's World War II.
I wish it were more World War II and less alien thing.
Right, yeah. But those are interesting because, again, you hear actual accounts from somebody. Like, for example, in the summer, I wrapped up watching Ken Burns' Civil War documentary.
Right, which is fantastic.
Which is great and riveting, but, parchment only tells you so much about the emotions of somebody in the moment. And that's the thing. It's like, I get it. I see what the North was being told, and they're being sold a bag of goods. Obviously, everybody in a sense is being sold a bag of goods in this particular what you just said. But you can't blame the soldier, and you're hearing his story, his harrowing tales of going toe to toe with the Americans. I mean, you can't. That guy, his whole life, especially his adult life, is raised to believe this thing, and he's put on the front lines. This is what he believed. This is why he saw that the strategy was as dumb as a rock, and he knew that they had. So of course, if he looks back on it and he says, man, we knew we had them beat, and he smiles, you can't be mad at that guy.
Well, no, and most of the time you're not mad. What you are is you're mad at the people behind the scenes who also knew it.
The puppet masters.
The people who chose to pull the strings in the manner that they did, all the while knowing it was costing people their lives. Well, we go on. It's a riveting documentary. It is it's a helpful documentary in a lot of ways. But I think to your point, it's opened up dialogue that has been needed for a long time. And it's interesting to hear how many of the American soldiers have gone back to Vietnam, how many of them have wanted to talk with the adversary and to have a sit-down, like literally over tea, and to have a discussion about what that war was.
I think the number one thing that in reviewing history, at least ours and through the conflicts, it doesn't matter if it's a sitting right-wing president or left-wing president, they all say the same damn thing.
When it comes to war, certainly, yeah.
It's about how are they going to get reelected, I mean, Lincoln cared greatly about being reelected in the Civil War, and there are parts talking about Kennedy. How am I going to present this particular topic to the American people, and how can I do it in a way that gets me reelected? And if that means I have to deploy people here, there, or there, that's going to make a difference of whether or not we go ahead and do it, because I've got to get reelected.
I think the other part that's hard to hear is those guys, well, there's a humanity to it, too, that we sometimes forget in the process of heroification or demonizing somebody. But the tapes,
yeah.
When you hear these flippant comments, that one way or the other, this sort of just irreverence regarding the death of 1,000 people in a moment, and the jokes that are made.
Sure.
And you're seething because you know it's not their son.
Right. And in a sense, you understand that you have to operate in a way like that.
Of course, because you have to remove
you'll be destroyed as a person.
You couldn't do it.
And you can't make decisions.
Couldn't do it otherwise.
However.
But to hear it
yes.
in its crassness.
At the same time.
Woo!
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I can tell you, man, they used to send, I don't know if your dad did this, but my dad would send audio tapes, and that's how he would communicate with his family back home.
Yeah.
So they'd send cassette tapes back
and you
home.
can hear them. Yeah, listen to them.
Yeah.
They're hard.
You hear the youth in, my dad's voice.
Oh, yeah.
It's just, and then you watch something like that, and you see what people are doing, in their ivory towers on either side. And you think, all right, lovely. That's great that these poor,
So today, I'll take a break from that.
Yeah.
And I'll watch baseball, where maybe a blown call or two frustrates you, but they'll play baseball tomorrow. Our thanks to Proof Brewing Company for coming on board to sponsor What's on Tap. Proof Brewing Company and For the Table Hospitality present the 5th annual Florida Tap Invitational, September 29th and 30th. One of Florida's largest two-day beer festivals. VIP and general admission tickets are available online. FloridaTapInvitational.com. Probables, cue it up.
It's time for, how you say, with the pitching, probables?
Tom, I got to tell you, the Orioles were unable to exact revenge for their World Series defeat in Game 7, 1979 or 71 last night. In fact, quite the opposite happened. More bludgeoning from the Pirates towards the Orioles. 10-1, I think it was. It was just a thorough ass beating.
I thought we were going to explore the psychology of the Viet Cong for probables today.
Orioles, Pirates. Gabriella Noah. I'm sure he doesn't go by Gabriella, but it's Gabriel. Sorry about that, Orioles pitcher. I may or may not have meant to slight you. Chad Kuhl goes for the Pirates. Rays, Yankees, Matt Andreezy, Luis Severino at the end of the line. Nats, Phillies, Tanner Roark. Obligatory.
Roark's going to get his lit.
Mark Leiter goes for the Phillies. Cubs, Cards, John Lackey, Michael Wacha. Braves, Mets, Sean Newcomb, Robert Gesellman. By the way, after seeming to turn the corner against Atlanta, he took a step back after his last start when he gave up 6 runs in 5 innings versus Washington. So we don't know what Gesellman is. He's this, he's that.
Well, the Mets are going to give up 850 runs this year. That's not an exaggeration. That is an actual stat.
I can tell. I can hear you.
850 runs.
That's a lot of runs. Twins, Indians, Alberto Mejia. Hey, got that one. Danny Salazar goes. Jays, Red Sox, Marco Estrada, Rick Porcello. We got Reds, Brewers, Homer Bailey. I'll give you the obligatory. Homer Bailey still pitching? God, he sucks. Brandon Woodruff pitches for the Brewers.
That was you last week,
too. It sure
on
was.
Friday.
Yeah, he's garbage. Angels, White Sox, Garrett Richards, and Reynaldo Lopez. We've got Tigers, Royals, Jordan Zimmerman, Jason Hamill. Padres, Dodgers, Clayton Richard, Rich Hill. And that's a look at those that shall reside on the bump.
We're going to the end of the line.
It's President's Cup week, and we haven't even talked about it tonight on the Beyond the Tips satellite radio show PGA Tour channel that I do with my friend Trey Jones, Florida State's golf coach. It should be interesting. I don't know. We might have players on. I'm looking forward to it. That's not a very good pimp on terrestrial radio, but
sure. But I mean,
yeah.
Well, I mean, if
9 to 10 p.m. tonight, folks.
I flip to the President's Cup if there's nothing on, but the problem is there's always college and NFL on. So the Ryder Cup, you have to make time.
So the timing bothers you about the President's Cup because it's in the way of football.
Well, it always has to be in this period of time because this is when the Ryder Cup is, and I will sure as hell make time for the Ryder Cup. I'm sorry, football may have to take a back seat on a Sunday to the Ryder Cup.
Ryder Cup rules.
But the President's Cup...
You and I are going to a Ryder Cup together someday.
I agree.
We've talked about it.
This
we just
is
haven't done it.
Yeah.
But... You know where they are right now?
That Berger and Koepka are playing on the President's Cup team together. I think is just so badass. That 2 out of the 12
right.
are Knowles. That's
right.
so awesome.
Might note that this is in Jersey, and we'll face the foreign powers that be. We'll be facing quite a bit of blowback from the folks in Jersey. Anytime there's an event in New York or Jersey, I'm like, I cringe about the kinds of things that those guys might hear, right?
Well, the funny thing is you go to Manhattan and it's just like, it's a complete stew. It's a melting pot of everyone. But yet you get out into certain boroughs.
Skirts.
You get to certain boroughs and, hey, Sergio, huh?
Hit the ball already, Sergio.
The hell's wrong with your hands?
Yeah, that was hilarious and uncomfortable. At some point, it gets uncomfortable where you go, no. Brooks Koepka will lead the U.S. in scoring, by the way.
I'd feel that way if I was a scared Euro, too.
By the way, Koepka finished second on the Ryder Cup team last year in points. He had 3 to Patrick Reed's 3.5.
No, he kicked ass.
He dominated. He never looked nervous, which is bizarre. And I think that's a larger talking point of today's young superstars. Trey has talked about it. Touring pros that are veterans that have won 20, 30, 40 times on tour. We've had those guys on the air. And they all say the defining characteristic of the younger generation that's playing now, the Jordan Spieths that are dominating the game, the Jason Jays, Justin Thomas, these guys, Brooks Koepka, is that they come in on tour at 21, 22 like they own the world. They've never been afraid. They play a go-for-broke version of golf. There's a lot of reasons for that. They're all long hitters, even if you're Ricky Fowler at 5'3". I mean, I made that height up, but he's a tiny guy. They all hit it a mile, and they grew up playing this way because of Tiger Woods and how distance was everything because they watched him hit a ball further than anybody for a good 7 years of his career before people caught up. And also there was a fearlessness to his game that caused others to wither, and they grew up watching that and wanting to be that and emulating that, and now they all do it. There's a swagger to all their. Look at Dustin Johnson walking around. It's Brooks Koepka is looking like Dustin Johnson. Justin Thomas is looking like Brooks Koepka. It's crazy.
Well, I saw the release from Florida State on Sunday talking about Brooks Koepka's season, and he wrapped up I think 6th. It was ended up in the FedEx Cup points. And And so you're looking at Berger's numbers for the year and Koepka's. And Berger's had a great year. A win, 2 runners-up, 6 top 10s, like a dozen top 25s.
Standard, yeah.
But Brooks, holy cow, what a year. You win the U.S. Open, couple of runner-up finishes, 7 top 10s, a dozen top 25s.
The consistency in the majors is the thing.
And you finished no worse than 13th in any of the 4 majors.
That's the big one.
That's just, I mean, on the table kind of a year.
Remember how bad he played? Well, I say how bad he played. Remember how just he could get nothing started on the weekend of the U.S. Open after a good start? Or not the U.S. Open, the what was the tournament? The PGA.
The PGA,
Yeah, he had a good start, and you thought, okay, and then he could get nothing going. He still finished top 15.
Yeah.
You're still sitting there going, okay. I mean, there's a lot of money to be made there.
Yeah.
Not that they're all out there just for the money, but it's a nice byproduct of consistency.
Well, and when you take a look back at that U.S. Open and you think the way he won it.
Oh, which was...
I mean, it was you had to go low. You couldn't wait.
No.
You had to keep going, keep pushing forward.
It was on the table.
There was no maintaining, man. You had to take risks. You had to go for broke, like you just said. You had to make birdie putts.
Yeah.
You had to be aggressive. You had to stick to your game plan.
But I think the young player's mindset now is that, just period.
Right.
Yeah,
whereas it used to be get to Saturday with a 2 to 3 shot lead and let's just carry this thing home.
Hang on.
Right. It's the NFL. It's like, let's not lose this game because they're all going to lose it. We're winning, so let's not lose the game from here. Instead of, let's go end this game right now.
As an eclectic final segment as the Jeff Cameron Show has ever had. A little Vietnam commentary followed by the baseball probables and the mindset of young golfers.
Oh, it's up on that line.
That's how we do.
Sure, everybody's thrilled about that segment.
It's a good segment. It's a good segment. People are sensitive and bristly. Get your sissy ass out of here with that nonsense. Good work out of you. Good work, Matthew. Good work to everybody who called in or listened. The Front Row Knowles coming up next. That's good stuff. My man Tim Linnefeld kicking ass.